All right, live and local on a Thursday morning. We've made it all the way to Thursday. Doesn't feel like Thursday. I'm still screwed up from last week.
Same.
Yeah. It is Gary and Matt. There is Jimmy. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Busy sports night last night locally. All the ball teams won. We have a college football playoff tonight in Miami, where a little intel, a little discussion with a friend driving in this morning. It's chilly in Miami this morning.
Ooh, really?
It's
54.
like 54 degrees.
Bear
Yes.
weather.
54 degrees in Miami. They say it's chilly.
Who does that favor, Gary? Who gets the edge in that regard?
The fans.
Where is it colder? State College or South Bend? Every time in the winter I see a picture from
Ooh.
South Bend, it's got snow on the ground.
I'll tell you right now, that lake effect that they got over there
Is
at
that
Notre
real?
Dame. Oh, it's real.
You don't mess with the lake effect snow,
Well,
you Buffaloans.
it doesn't really get like cold, but it gets windy. And then, like randomly, there's no such thing as a weather forecast, especially in that area on that side in
Talking about South
Indiana.
Bend?
Yeah, in South Bend, things will come randomly at any given point in time.
Like the snow game in 1992.
I mean, there were like I went to a Notre Dame
That was
game.
good.
I went to a Notre Dame game in like fairly early November one time, and no snow on the forecast, nothing. And then like during the third quarter, like most people are in like long sleeve t-shirts or like quarter zips, and it just starts coming down. And people are like, "That's going on here." Like this wasn't anticipated.
Is that
So
asbestos?
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with State College, Pennsylvania weather. I feel like Pennsylvania,
Gray.
out
and
of all
cold.
the states in the union, I probably know the least about the weather in Pennsylvania.
It's a little tricky. Like I lived in Western PA,
Okay.
and from November 1 to Easter, the sun doesn't come out.
Hmm.
Like it's
Really?
gray.
That's
It's
like
like
Ohio.
Seattle?
Yeah, we got more ice than snow where I lived, but it was just gray all the time. Now on this side of the state, I think they get some snow, and then State College is up a little bit in the elevation. It snows a bit in State College. I've been to State College twice, where watching a football game where it started to snow. Yeah, I don't know who it favors. I mean, I think everybody will be in short sleeves, but we have college football semifinal tonight between Notre Dame and Penn State.
It's going to be a great game.
We will talk
Irish?
much about that. You want to make a bold prediction?
No,
right out of the gate?
I mean, I think my bold prediction
Do you
would
think Riley Leonard will take a snap? Would you like to say, I don't think Riley Leonard's going to take a snap?
Over under on throws.
I don't know if he'll advance past the line of scrimmage.
my bold prediction is that I think this will
0
be
first
the
downs.
best game out of all the games that have occurred so far. And I think it'll be the most competitive. I mean, Texas-Arizona State was a very, very competitive game, went to overtime, obviously. But there were points in that ASU-Texas game where Texas firmly had control. It seemed like they were going to cruise to victory.
Yep.
ASU comes back. I think this game out of even – I'll go as far as to say maybe even the national championship game. We'll have to see what the matchup is. But I really do think this is going to be a 60-minute football game. These two teams – not only are they pretty evenly matched, but they're pretty similarly built as well.
I will say this. You can put it on the prediction board. 1 to 17 wins tonight.
Ooh, okay. So under.
I think the under, because I think the total is still 44.5.
I can check for you.
I like the under in that game tonight. I think it will be a ball-controlled defensive type of game.
It's actually moved up. It's up to 45
Oh,
now.
my gosh. It went up a half. I'm going
Yes,
to still stick
cooler
with the
weather.
under. But I will say the
Yeah.
1 to 17 wins tonight.
This line has moved actually a little bit in favor of Penn State. It opened at 1.5. It's now moved down to just a point. At that point, you just start. I mean, your money line, in terms of who you want to win. Look, I know it's tomorrow's game, but that Ohio State-Texas game, that line has also moved, but toward Texas. I thought maybe it would move the other way. Texas right now 5.5. It opened around 6. I saw it at 6.5 yesterday.
It doesn't surprise me that it sticks around there.
Yeah.
I still like Ohio State in that game.
Oh, I think Ohio even minus 5.5. You like Ohio State, or are we just talking straight up?
I like Ohio State 5.5.
Yeah, I would too. I am going to bet on tonight's game. I have not decided yet who I'm going to bet on. It's one of those things where I keep going back and forth in my mind of like who I really think is going to win. I think in the beginning of the week, I started at Notre Dame as the Jeremiah Love news has kind of come out and that he's not fully 100%. I think I'm moving a little bit toward Penn State at this point, regardless of the fact I think it's going to be, once again, a heck of a football game between two teams that are really similarly built.
Yep.
So I'm really, really excited tonight.
The other part of the tournament is you're playing so many games back to back. Guys are banged up. Like Penn State and Notre Dame have some significant injuries. Abdul Carter, I think, will play. You mentioned Love. Defensive line, Notre Dame is beat up. So that's the one downfall of the college football playoff is you're going bang, bang, bang. And so if you suffer an injury, you don't have like 3 weeks to get healthy. But championships are won. And we'll get into this because Nebraska did some portaling yesterday. You look at all 4 of the teams that are left. And injuries are part of the sport. Injuries suck. That's one of the worst things about sports is injuries, is you got to have depth.
Yes.
And it's going to be even more so when everybody is walking around with 105 on the roster, but you have to have depth. All 4 of these teams at key positions have depth. Look at Ohio State. Ohio State's been a tad bit decimated on the offensive line. Now, you can say, well, it is the world-famous Ohio State, but still they have built depth on the offensive line where they really haven't missed a beat when they've lost some guys that are all conference type on that offensive line. So if you're building your roster and you're developing your roster and you're thinking, okay, what's the path to the playoff? And you're in the Big Ten. And I think we've all done this. The magic number is to get to 10 in the Big Ten is also you got to have some depth that drives you through the 12 games. And then if you get into a situation where you're playing bang, bang, you're playing high-level games, you have one injury that goes down, it doesn't derail your entire run to try and win a national championship.
Well, I think another thing, too, is that look at Ohio State's offensive line. Not only do they have depth within those positions, but they have depth for those positions at other positions. And what I mean by that is Donovan Jackson. He was All-America, top first-round guard. They have some injuries on the offensive line. What does he do? He goes over and he plays tackle. In particularly, he played tackle against Penn State in a game where a lot of people picked Penn State to win at State College because they thought that Abdul Carter and that defensive line was going to chop up that O-line of Ohio State, which Nebraska did. Nebraska had a much better game on the D-line against Ohio State than Penn State did. And that was a lot of credit to Donovan Jackson, who's a guard who played tackle, who was elite.
What do you think would have happened in the Ohio State-Nebraska game if Ohio State would have taken that game seriously?
I mean, it would have been
that's a gut punch from the standpoint that there was a great opportunity for Nebraska and Columbus on that day. Because Ohio State did not really care about Nebraska. They were thinking about the following week in State College.
Ohio State looks like one of the best teams that I've ever seen in college football. They won't go down as one of the greatest teams of all time because of their losses that they've suffered. But in terms of just eyes, right, from the college football that I've watched, they look like one of the best teams I've seen in these last 2 weeks. They would not be in the college football playoff if Nebraska did what they probably should have done, and that is win that football game. I mean, there was opportunity after opportunity missed for Nebraska. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it because it just boils my blood in terms of the fact like how much different that season would have been if just simple plays were executed by Nebraska. But regardless of this, I want to go back to what you were saying. Depth.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to people, not only just in the media, but just friends of mine who are fans of football who went to the University of Nebraska. And a lot of them said a similar thing in terms of the fact that they thought that after the Indiana game, that Nebraska had gotten worse, that Nebraska was a worse team then than they were at the beginning of the year, that they thought they looked better against Colorado and that they had peaked against Colorado. Now, this is granted after the 56-7 loss to Indiana, so morale was low. And my argument to them was, I don't really believe that a team from week 1 to week 12 can really get worse, but what they can get is get injured, right? Mm-hmm. Tommy Hill had went down. Guys were, I mean, Matt Rule had mentioned there was a lot of guys on the defense that were just banged up in general. I'm pretty sure Hutmaker was playing through a lot of stuff as the year had gone on. Like, guys get banged up, but the reason why you don't realize it with Oregon, the reason why you don't realize with Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, they got 5-star freshman All-American dudes right behind them. And as opposed to them waiting a year or 2 years to play, okay, they just have to play now, but they're ready to go. That's the difference between a tier 1 program and a tier 2 program, right? That's kind of the stark differential because tier 1 programs got those dudes. Now, Nebraska ain't a tier 2 program. Nebraska's a tier 4 or 5 program right now in the state of college football. I mean, they got a ways to go, but you're right. That depth, that's the big difference between the big boys and everybody who wants to be a big boy.
So I ran into an Ohio State fan yesterday. He wanted to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And he identified himself as a listener of the show.
Oh, awesome.
Said, I'm an Ohio
Thank
State
you.
fan. And I said, well, what do you think about tomorrow night? And he goes, we're going to win. I said, okay. And he goes, but I have to tell you something. I'm going to be honest here. He goes, I'm very much in the minority as an Ohio State fan. And he goes, I hear you talking about how Ohio State, Michigan is the greatest rivalry going. And he goes, I've been a part of it. He goes, I've gone to Ohio State, Michigan game in Ann Arbor. I've gone to Columbus. He goes, I hate them. I absolutely hate them. I despise them. There are people in my family that want to root for Michigan. I don't talk to them. And then this guy told me he is from an area where you have a mixed town. He is from just outside of Toledo, which there are Toledo's not very far from Detroit. So there's a lot of Michigan fans, but it also is in Ohio. He said this was kind of interesting. And, I think Ohio State, if Ohio State doesn't win the national championship, people are going to be like, But he said to me, he goes, you know what? He goes, don't tell anybody this. And I immediately said, I'm going to say this on the air, but I will not mention your name. Mm-hmm. He goes, I would take a win over Michigan in a national championship to go back and redo Michigan and over a national championship. And I said, really? I go, because no one will talk about your, and he stopped me and he goes, no. You don't understand the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. They will talk about it. Those people will talk about them beating the national champions. I want to go back and have a redo, beat Michigan, even if we lose the national championship, because I have a win over Michigan. I said, really? And he said, yeah. I go, so do you think? And he goes, they're going to win the national championship, but I want to play Michigan again. He goes, I'd rather beat Michigan. I was like, damn, that rivalry is real.
Great. So they won't even be celebrating the championship. They'll just be grumpy when they win.
Because don't you think Michigan will be like, well, beat the national champion.
Well, so
you didn't beat us last year. We won the national championship. We beat you this year. You won the national championship.
Rich Eisen is a guy that I listen to every single day.
And he a Michigan guy?
Michigan
grad?
He is, yes. And a Northwestern grad as well. He's both.
What happened here in the media? So everybody's from Northwestern or Syracuse.
Yeah.
But there are more like Michigan people. Rich Eisen, Adam Schefter is a Michigan guy. Portnoy
I was about to say
guy.
Portnoy is a Michigan guy. I think it's just Michigan is like straight up just a good school. Like Wisconsin, like you see, like from UWM, there are some pretty good journalists who come from there. Like UWM isn't like it's not just like a
who?
Andy Katz. Andy Katz,
Wisconsin.
This is a Wisconsin guy. Big Cat is also a Wisconsin guy.
Andy Kendi?
No.
Okay.
Andy Kendi?
Yeah.
Is he? Did Andy?
Or maybe
Kendi
he worked there.
He worked in
Green
Milwaukee.
Bay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Someone else in Nebraska worked in Green Bay. Regardless of it,
is Andy Katz still on the Nebraska basketball train, or he get off?
I don't know. We'll ask him next time.
Did he go choot choot? And he goes, I'm going to stop off in Coralville. I'm not getting on this anymore.
Regardless of, Michigan's just a good school. Michigan's a really, really good school. It keeps getting it better as a school. It doesn't surprise me that there are distinguished alumni in almost every single profession that come from there. But Rich Eisen, a very obnoxious, Michigan fan, and people were talking. He was saying people are saying that Ohio State needed to lose to Michigan in order to win the national championship. And he was almost reveling in the fact that, you needed us to do it. You needed us to beat you in order to win your natty. He almost took it as a sense of pride. And look, I come from a fan base, and you also I think we all come from fan bases here, because some fan bases aren't lucky enough to have bitter rivals. I come from a fan base where I hate Green Bay. I can't stand Green Bay. And I know that if we were to lose to Green Bay in some sort of capacity that really mattered, and we were to win the Super Bowl, there would still be like, well, we beat you. And I know with you can't stand the Cardinals.
Yep.
And if something were like, if the Cubs won,
Cardinals are the Brewers.
Cardinals are the Brewers.
Brewers have
the Brewers. Oh man, they are. I love it.
But it might be more jealous.
But like if the Cubs had won the World Series, but they went 3-15 against the Cardinals, you wouldn't be a little bit like, man, why couldn't we win more of those games? Like, why couldn't we? Like you can't stand those. And so that's why I love sports. It means nothing. It really at the end of the day, it really at the end of the day means like, what does it really matter who went to Michigan and who went to Ohio State in the grand scheme of things? But at the same time, sports and the rivalries brings you together where you're like, you went there. I don't give a no. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to. I want to beat your team. We won the granddaddy of them all, and I'm still mad that we lost to this one team at the end of the season in a game that really, was kind of meaningless. Like Ohio State still got a home game. They probably needed that home game to win and get some confidence against Tennessee. Like Michigan didn't get into the playoffs, and I think the only thing that mattered is they went from going from the Pinstripe Bowl to the ReliaQuest Bowl. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's like Ohio State's like you got your friend being like, I want to redo.
At the end of the day, the weather looked a little bit better in Tampa than it did in New York City.
I know.
Just a little bit.
All right,
I would have loved to go to Tampa.
Coming up on the show, I like Tampa.
I love
doesn't-
Tampa.
Tampa's
nice.
Yeah. Then you drop below Tampa, and then Florida becomes what you think Florida is.
And then eventually you get to
I have a
Miami.
lot of family in Tampa. I've been invited down there a couple times. I'm going to take them up on it.
It's been there. Spent a lot of time in Tampa.
Yeah.
I like Tampa. Tampa doesn't feel like Florida to me.
Okay. What does it feel like? Just a
It
city?
feels like a big city that has
Yeah.
great weather and that sits on the Gulf of America.
I know we got to get to the lineup, but what's
Well
your
done.
favorite? I haven't asked you this. What's your favorite city in Florida?
Fort Myers, number one.
Okay.
That's where,
You're
Reside.
located. Yeah.
and then Miami.
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd
I know,
be a-
I know Miami
you'd-
is not for everybody.
You'd be a big Maya. You would love. I can see it right now. Doing
I,
a little salsa.
when my dad, when my, hey,
Abusador.
when my dad told me he was
Abusador.
moving there,
Oh,
and I was like, all right, where are we
Casey
moving?
stay, Casey stay, Casey stay.
No. The lineup brought to you by the Roof Reese at John Higgins. Whether the Ohio State fan also told me to tell you never to sing again on the show.
Okay, we'll do.
I don't think you're going to follow through on that. But
I don't
that's
think
okay.
I would either.
The lineup brought to you by the Roof Reese at John Higgins Weather Guard. Sarah Baker Hansen stops by for the first time in 2025, coming up at 8. Steve Sipple at 8:30 as Nebraska. They only recruit wide receivers and defensive backs. Can Nebraska win a national title with just wide receivers and defensive backs?
Oof.
That's a poll question.
7-on-7.
Sipple join us coming up at 8:30. Brian Edwards stops by at 9:45 with his thoughts on the semis and also the now retired Super Wild Card Weekend. I noticed
not
they are
calling
not
anyone.
using
Oh,
Super.
they're not?
Yeah, they've
That's-
retired Super.
See, now they're trying to make it like, oh, this is the norm. This is how it's always been type deal. It's a hunk of crap.
We used to have Saturday afternoon football.
We used to have a lot of things, Jimmy.
Mhm.
I
know.
can't stand.
Things have
I
changed.
I know.
can't stand 7 teams in the NFL playoffs. It
Why? Because your
disgusts
team's
me.
not one of them?
No, it's just because it's just watered down. Same thing with the MLB.
Don't take away my Super Bowl titles.
No, I'm not. No. I'm not taking them away. I'm not saying they don't count. They all count the same.
It has never been as difficult as it is now to win a Super
I
Bowl.
couldn't agree more.
That's what everybody is saying.
I couldn't agree. You got to play more teams, and any team can get hot at any single
Only
point.
one team gets home field.
Bud Grant and Vince Lombardi upstairs are like, you know what, Sharpie, you're right. You're right. It was a lot easier back in our day to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they had 6 teams. What do you mean?
That's the lineup brought to you by the Roof. Nobody knows that. That's
Followed
the
by,
lineup
how about
brought to
that
you by the
crossover yesterday?
Roof Reese at John Higgins Weather Guard. All right, last night here in town.
Yeah.
So women's basketball is pretty good. Kudos to Nebraska. They beat number 20 Michigan State.
Shout out Alexis Markowski.
Creighton held on to defeat Marquette at Sokol. But over there at 67 Center, nice little night for Omaha men's basketball. The preseason favorite in the Summit League, Kansas City, rolled into town. The Roos were in town. Marvin Menzies, their head coach.
Ah,
I think people that know ball know that name. Now in his 3rd year. Kansas City, the preseason favorite.
good coach.
And as I tweeted out and hopefully aptly described on the radio, one of the best defensive efforts that Omaha men's basketball has had in probably the last decade, as they absolutely handcuffed Kansas City and beat them going away last night, 77-58. So what that means is Omaha men's basketball is 3-0 in the Summit. They're tied for first with St. Thomas. They got South Dakota State on Saturday. Largest crowd of the season last night at Baxter Arena. Nationally televised by CBS Sports Network, even though, you know what? Radio, we say, hey, start on time. We'll adapt. TV, the Drake Bradley game went late. They tell me it's 7. We're in the middle of the pregame show last night. They're like, you know what? We're not starting until 8:10. That game's going long. We don't want to join this in progress. And I thought, oh, that's very admirable of y'all at CBS Sports Network. But now it's 8:10, and I'm thinking, when am I going to go to bed? When am I going to go to bed? But a big win last night for the Mavs.
Relatable.
As pretty impressive. Omaha has turned things around. They've now won 5 in a row. But 3-0 in the Summit. They get South Dakota State on Saturday. And Matt McMaster was in the house last night.
Yes, I was.
Okay, so let me first ask your.
Did you meet
the first time-
Durango?
That's the first.
I did. We fist bumped.
Oh, geez.
I did a fist. He walked by with the eye on. I put my knuckles out there, and he.
I think the person that is inside of Durango this year is a lot better than the one last year.
Yeah.
The one last year was kind of limpish.
Oh.
Yeah. This one has more stoutness to him. Like they're like into having
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Like last year, the mascot was just kind of. The year before is that was the year where the mascot basically plowed a kid down at the College World Series.
I didn't know
Block
that
the
happened.
plate.
That's awesome.
But that was the first time that you've seen us play in person.
Yes.
No wonder they played so well.
Well, first off,
Inspired.
I do want to say Baxter Arena. What a nice arena. What a nice place to watch a game. The seats are incredibly comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That place got pretty loud at points, like during that big run in the second half, in the early second half. Place got really, really loud. Like you said, that defensive effort. There's a perfect way to play defense, and it's playing defensive aggressively, but it's also playing it in a disciplined manner. That's how they played defense yesterday. They switch on everything, but they know their rules. They know how to spot up guard. I was so impressed with Cam Thomas and his ability to just go to guard a guy one-on-one. But what was even more impressive about their defense that they played yesterday, and maybe you can continue on this because I don't know Coach Crutchfield as of right now, how his coaching style, like I'm learning it as I'm watching his teams play. But I was so impressed with the fact that every time Kansas City got to the paint, it seemed like there was at least two guys that were in the paint contesting a shot with him. I mean, they were able to play aggressive defense on the perimeter, but when KC did get to the paint, it's almost like the entire defense collapsed in on whoever the shooter was. Rebounding was spectacular. And then it was a overall effort just on offense. I mean, you had four guys in double digits. Markel Sutton had 9 points, but JJ White, what a player, man. I think JJ White is my favorite guy to watch on that team. I mean, not only is he a dude who can shoot the three and can score on his own, but he's a floor general. I mean, the way that he commands that offense and he gets everybody on schedule. And Cam Thomas and Markel Sutton, I mean, those guys are dudes who could probably play basketball anywhere in America. And I think that Omaha fans should be very, very thankful that they're playing for the Mavericks. And I think that if they continue to play at the level this team top to bottom continues to play at, that they can do some really special things in the Summit League. Tony Osborne, the enigma. I mean, that guy, I love watching. I mean, him playing basketball is something. I mean, he is an exciting basketball player to say the least. His energy, his celebrations, the way he made him a turnover yesterday, and it was almost like I was watching AAU basketball where he was talking to Crutchfield as he was going back down the floor, like a dad and a son, like who's a player coach relationship. It was funny, but I mean, he's a player, and they got a lot of players, and they played a great game yesterday.
Yeah, T.O. is so this is his third year, and he was great when Omaha needed him to be last night. I always give him a hard time because he talks to himself.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, it's incredible.
He's out there playing. There'll be times where the opponent thinks that he's talking trash, but he actually talks to himself. Like he talks through things while he's playing.
Sure.
But so the team that were playing last night, Kansas City, and Kansas City is one of the older teams in the Summit League. And in the Summit League, you get old, stay old, and you try and hold on to your players.
Yeah.
And Omaha is a relatively older team, but Kansas City is the oldest team in the league, and they have a couple of guys that are 22, 23. They got a family, they got a portfolio, they've got a bungalow, and
they got a
Westport.
LinkedIn ready to go.
But they're the preseason favorite in the Summit League, and rightfully so. I voted for them, but they've always been known as this tough physical team that got big interior players, and then they're good with guards, and that's exactly what they have. But they also lock you down on defense. And last night, it was almost like the roles switched, where Omaha looked really good on offense and great on defense. Again, I think that's one of the best defensive efforts. And kudos to the coaching staff and the players, because Omaha's played, even going back to Coach Hansen, they played an entertaining style where you get up and down the floor, because that would draw fans. People like that. That's your identity. You win 85-80, or you win 88-87, but you won the game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, in a league where defense can be kind of shoddy at times, they have turned it around. They actually played well, so they haven't. The last time they lost was against Iowa State. And we got blown out at Iowa State, and a lot of people do. But they played pretty well against Iowa State. It's just they don't have the depth and the horses to compete against a team that might win the national championship. But they played pretty well, and then that was the end of the gauntlet of this schedule where, basically we spend all of, November and December on the road.
Say, you were.
But they've played, so they played a lot better. They're connected, but defensively, they have something. And they have, as you were alluding to, They have the pieces in terms of the makeup. Like Cam Thomas is long.
Long.
Yeah, he's 6'8", and he's got long arms, long legs, and so he steps into a passing lane. They've just taken to that. And, that's not easy to do at this level because guys want to score. Because if they're thinking about moving on, they look at stats and, hey, you scored 16 a game. But they bought into a defensive philosophy, and they've got kind of an identity. And for them to hold that team 19 points under their scoring average last night, that was pretty damn impressive. That was a really, really good team win. This is turning into a good basketball team in a one-bid league. So you navigate the conference season where you're trying to get the best seed possible in Sioux Falls, so you get the best matchups.
Sure.
Where you can win 3 games and get that coveted berth to the NCAA tournament.
I've watched some, and I don't mean to call the Summit League like I don't want this to sound insulting.
Call it a mid-major league, and it's not. It's
but,
not
but
the Missouri
it
Valley Conference.
But it didn't look like mid-major basketball is what I was going to say. It didn't look like there was a step off yesterday. It looked like 2 teams who knew what they were doing, who were well coached, who were playing good basketball, who had talented players, who were connected, who wanted to win a game. And sometimes in those mid-major conferences and lower conferences, it's like there's obviously a downgrade from Power 5 to them. I didn't see that yesterday. I just saw 2 really good basketball teams playing each other. And I want to say this about the defense. It's a switch-heavy defense. They switch almost everything. And when that type of defense really started becoming popular about 10 years ago, I want to say 2014, 2015 is when it really dawned, where it became on the national spotlight of like, oh, wow. It really started with the Golden State Warriors and the Cavaliers. Like, wow, these guys switch on everything on the screens. Yep. It was a difficult defense to play because not a lot of teams knew how to handle it because they hadn't seen it before. Now, as the years have gone on, teams have understood, okay, we got to move the ball quickly. We got to set as many screens possible. Then we're going to find our matchup. We're going to hammer it down there. When the defense collapses, then we'll have some shooters to spread out and we'll hammer it. Omaha plays this switch defense in a style that's so disciplined, and there's so much communication, and you can hear them talking to each other on the floor. Hey, go here. Hey, go here. I got here. If they have a bad matchup, even if they're off the ball, they go, hey, let's switch already so we get ahead of what they're trying to do. They're incredibly well coached in the defensive end, and you talked about it. They've bought in. I think this team is realizing, hey, if we are going to win basketball games, we have to play a high level of defense. These guys like to win. You saw them walking off the court yesterday, all smiles, all claps, all everything. They like to win. They like each other. They like their coach. It's a team that, if they continue to play basketball at this level, an NCAA tournament bid is a legitimate conversation now in Omaha, and that's a heck of an accomplishment.
That'll be the greatest athletic accomplishment that University of Nebraska Omaha has ever had. It would eclipse trips to the Frozen Four in the NCAA tournament in hockey, just because it is March Madness. One other thing about this team. And again, they have 13 games to go in the conference. They're 3-0. St. Thomas is 3-0. They beat South Dakota State last night up in St. Paul. They were the tougher team. And I don't know that.
Great call.
I don't even know if the head man would say that about his team as the season began, that they would get to a point where they're playing the toughest team in the league in terms of physicality. And Omaha was the tougher team last night. And that's a great sign moving forward. So they're back home on Saturday, play South Dakota State. That's a doubleheader at Baxter Arena because hockey is in town. They take on Colorado College, but South Dakota State will be at Baxter at 1. When we come back, I'm curious on more of your impressions of Baxter Arena and the atmosphere. Again, they had a good crowd in there last night.
Yeah.
But that's your first time into that building.
Yes.
Which is great for hockey viewing. They're trying to make it good for basketball viewing.
You can tell. The seats I was sitting in, I'd be right up. I'd be close to the glass. I'd be close to the net. Like, this is clearly you told me that before I went to the
great place to watch hockey.
Yeah.
And it was built for hockey.
Yeah. You told me that before I went to the game, and I was sitting down in my seat. I totally see what Gary's saying.
All right, Eli Pritchett is in. DBs and wide receivers coming as well. What is Pritchett doing? Nebraska only gets wide receivers and DBs. They like their big-bodied wide receivers. If you're a big body and you catch the ball, call Dana. You can call us at any time, 402-951-1620, whether you're big-bodied or not. You can also email us into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Gary at 1620thezone.com, Matt at 1620thezone.com, and on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
Matt at 1620thezone.com. Oh, sorry. Matt McMedia, MattMcmedia.
Thank you.
My bad.
There's Matt. There's Jimmy. I'm Gary. Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple, Brian Edwards, all to join us on Gary and Matt at 1620 The Zone. All right, good morning, everybody. It is a Thursday morning. The college football playoff is tonight.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. I know some people are really kind of down, like 12-team playoff. You know, these things have gotten watered down and
Better than no
whatnot.
football.
Dude, I love it. I love that just every day is just there's something going on. There's some sort of game. Monday there was the FCS championship game.
Mhm.
Yesterday locally there was Omaha playing. There was women's basketball. There's great college basketball, man. Just Big Ten in general. Tuesday we had Nebraska versus Iowa. It just seems like every day there's something going on, whether it be locally or nationally, where you can just watch sport. It's heaven. It's heaven. And then we got the game today, we got the game tomorrow, then we got wild card weekend. I mean, it's awesome, dude.
I did see nationally the double dribble that was missed in the Nebraska-Iowa game got a lot of run yesterday.
Did it? Awesome. It's embarrassing.
I talked to I won't reveal who he is, but he worked the game last night in Lincoln or in Omaha.
Oh.
And he works in the Big Ten. I said, how does this work? And he said, the problem is the official was running ahead, like he was trying to stay ahead of the play.
Oh, okay.
And he made the mistake of not running and looking back. And he goes, that's probably why the double dribble was missed. Now, he's very honest. And I was like, whoa. I was like, and so I had a follow-up question. He goes, I think that's what happened. But I saw the double dribble got a lot of run on social media. And then a couple of national shows were like, well, here's another case of bad officiating.
It's almost like
But bad officiating did not lose that game for Nebraska. Nebraska lost that game by themselves.
Absolutely. I did some research last night. Let's just get into it. I don't know if this is where we were heading in the segment, but I do want to talk about this because I went back and I went through ESPN and I went through the next 16 games for
Jesus.
Nebraska.
Okay.
And their RPI chances of winning every single game. Now, look, I want you to know, and I want everyone listening to know, this is not the end-all be-all. Just because ESPN analytics say that one team has a greater chance of winning a game than the other does not mean that that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We play the games for a reason. Some of these games, the margins are pretty thin as well, okay? But yesterday, you and I came on the radio, and we talked about this game, and we really broke it down from a micro perspective. But from a macro perspective, our sentiment was the same. We still believe this is a good team. We still trust in the guys that they have, and we're very confident in the fact that they are going to make the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
After looking at what I looked at last night, I'm a little bit nervous now. I'm a little bit more nervous than I was initially after the Iowa game.
That's what Caleb Johnson and Peyton Sanford has done to you?
Because that's a team. That's a game.
Fans hate most.
That's a scenario. Oh, Sanford, because Sanford's that skinny guy. You don't mind getting beat by a dude who looks like a dude. You know what I'm saying? You don't mind getting beat by a guy where like that dude could beat me up, or that dude's athletic, or that dude is like a real athlete. Peyton Sanford is this skinny shooter. We were like, man, if I met him in the dark alley, I don't know how afraid I would be of him. I think definitely you hate that guy more. Anyway, back to my point though. What do you think in the next 16 games Nebraska's projected record is?
To finish?
To finish.
So I don't look at that. I look at KenPom.
Sure.
KenPom has Nebraska at 20 wins.
Okay. So right now,
which is only, 7 more?
ESPN
So
on the
7
RPI,
and 9?
they are projected to go 7 and 9.
Okay.
4 quad 3 wins, 2 quad 2 wins, and only 1 quad 1 win. That quad 1 win would come against Maryland. Okay, who's right now 21 in the net ranking. That game is at home. Okay, So if that were to play out, Nebraska would end up being 19 and 13. They would be, off the top of my dome, they would be close to 500, basically 500 in the Big Ten, with not too many quad 1 wins. I'm not saying that definitively doesn't get you in the NCAA tournament, but it'd be a really, really close call. It'd be incredibly close if it were to play out the way that people are projecting it to play out. When you look back to yesterday's game, if that plays out in that manner, if they end up going 7 and 9 with not enough quad 1 wins, right on the bubble, maybe they don't even get the bye, they're going to have to be one of the first 4 in. You're going to be looking at that Iowa game from 2 days ago being, dang, that could have been it. That could have been the game that either got you a bye, or that could have been the game that gets you into the tournament. It's one of those things where, yes, you're still confident in the team, but you look at the rest of the schedule and you look at who they're playing and where they're playing them at, and after looking at it, 7-9. Gary, it's going to be, if this team ends up going 7-9 in the last 16 games, it's going to be really, really close. And it's just like, when it comes to Nebraska, when it comes to the selection committee, we've seen it before, bid Steelers, all the things that go into making the field of 68, you don't want it to be close. I mean, they're going to have to play a better brand of basketball, probably the best brand of basketball that they've played all year in order for them to comfortably make the tournament.
My math is they have to win 9 more games.
So they're going to have to flip 2 of these games.
Mm-hmm.
So
So they're 38 in the net this morning. By the way, Creighton is 57th, and Creighton is going to play a very bad basketball team on Saturday morning here on the Zone.
yeah, they lost again last
I saw
night.
highlights this morning of the Butler game against Providence. They've lost 8 in a row.
Damn, what happened to Butler?
They have
Butler
Yeah,
beat
wait.
Northwestern. I thought Butler was
Butler
gonna-
got off to a really good start. They
Yeah.
were 7-1. They're like, man, Thad Matta was a good hire. The bottom has fallen out in Indianapolis. That's where Creighton plays on Saturday. The best thing that's happened in Hinkle Fieldhouse is that the Bulls went and had their shoot around there yesterday, but then they went and got beat by the Pacers. But carry on.
Okay, so let's go through this. I want to. So 7-9 right now is.
I
the
don't know that I
projected
want
record.
to play this experiment
Okay,
because
fine.
this is what's one game. They lost to Iowa.
I'm
They
just,
got
no,
Purdue this
but I'm
weekend.
just saying. I mean, it's like,
I'm sticking with my 9. They need 9.
no, they do need 9. I'm just saying.
9 is my number.
But if
that
they're
they
going to
have
go
get.
9, what games are they going to flip? Because they're supposed to lose to Purdue, they're supposed to lose to Maryland, they're supposed to lose to Wisconsin, Illinois, and Oregon. That's going to be a really tough stretch. Then you got a tough stretch at the end of the year with Northwestern, Penn State, and Michigan. Like, those are 3 teams that, I mean, Michigan's ranked. Penn State's going to slouch. Northwestern's going to slouch. Northwestern, I think, is on the road. And then if I'm looking here correctly, Penn State and Northwestern are on the road, and then Michigan
Ooh,
at home.
Penn State, bring your own juice.
I mean, it's 7-9. I don't think 7-9 is going to get you in.
Tough road game.
And so yesterday, it's like, or 2 days ago when they lost on Tuesday, and we were talking about it yesterday, I think that we were correct in the regard that, like, all right, not to push the panic button, but then you're looking at the rest of the schedule and you're like, okay, it might be a bit of an uphill battle now. Not because of Nebraska. It's just they play it. It's pretty tough. I mean, life is
play
tough in the Big Ten. Life is tough in the Big
I don't
Ten.
think
They're going to
anybody's
have.
complaining.
They got a great opportunity tomorrow. Purdue.
Oh, on Sunday.
Or on Sunday. My apologies.
That is a huge opportunity. That's
It's a
going to be a
massive
difficult game.
opportunity.
Now, Ken Palm, like before the game against Iowa, and Ken Palm has Nebraska losing to Iowa. I think they had a stretch where Nebraska was going to lose 6 of 8.
Or has that changed?
No.
It's going to be tough. You just
Wow.
can't. You just cannot be
Panic
up
button over
15.
there.
You just can't
It's
be
one-
up 15.
It's one game. I'm not ready to make a sweeping
I'm-
generalization.
Not
about,
sad.
they learned a lesson. You know what? Yeah, they screwed themselves, but they still have, what'd you say, 16 games left in the Big
16
Ten?
games left.
Aren't they?
They could go
Aren't they?
16-0?
They're a good team, right?
They are a good team.
Okay.
I'm not pressing the panic button. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's going to be a
you're
tougher
Gen
battle than
Zer.
people think.
You're a Gen Zer that likes the numbers. I like my eyes as long as I still
Me
have them. Thank
too.
you, Kugler Vision.
Shout out eyes.
You stick with your analytics, okay? You're the guy that's in the front office now of all these professional sports teams that's ruining my fun. I like the old-time Clint Eastwood scout that sits in the stands, and he can hear and he can see and he can make a judgment.
Art Howe.
That's where I'm at.
Art Howe. Billy Bean.
Art Howe. Astro's great.
Theo.
Let
Lou
them
Pi-
play.
Theo.
Yeah.
Lou Piniella.
How many World Series titles did Oakland win?
0.
They were so bad they had to move him out of Oakland.
I know. Isn't he the minority owner now too, or one of the minority owners?
I'm not sure.
I think he's got a stake in that team.
I
or
love
something.
Moneyball, but boy, people in the business that I know crush that movie.
Well,
And they crush the concept of Moneyball.
How do you not bring up Barry Zito?
It looks
in
nothing
in
like Art Howe.
Well, okay.
God,
the
you know what? That makes me sad because we lost Philip Seymour
Great
Hoffman
actor.
way
Yeah.
Great,
too
great
early.
actor.
way too early. No, I remember I saw the video of the Oakland Athletics, like the 2002 Oakland Athletics were at the premiere and they watched the movie and they're like, yeah, it was great. We hate how Art Howe was projected or
Yeah, he was a Richard Head in that movie.
he was. And they were like, Art Howe's like all of them were like, he's the nicest dude ever. Like, we love him. We love playing for him. We wouldn't have
Then
won
the
all
Twins
those
beat him in
games
the
if we didn't
LDS.
like playing for him
Can you imagine being portrayed in a movie
that poorly?
and they just destroy you and you're like, that is nothing like, and you're sitting in the movie theater
Yeah.
and you scrunch down, you go in there and you're incognito. You're like, oh my God.
That's
They
why
look like Kim Mulkey.
I hated The Last Dance so much. Or I love The Last Dance, but
Yeah.
what I hated a lot about The Last Dance was that they made Jerry Krause to be the villain, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but Why was he the villain? Because he's dead. That's why. He's not alive to see it. So they made him the villain, and they made it look like Jerry was pushing all the buttons and making all the decisions. I'm sorry.
The Great
Jer-
Fire in Chicago,
Jerry
he started.
Jerry Reinsdorf was complaining
I
about
thought it was
Jerry.
the cow.
It was the cow. I think it was Mrs. O'Brien's cow or something. Jerry,
Just go with O'Leary.
O'Leary.
I think it is. It wasn't a Mrs. O'Leary's
Yeah, I think
cow.
it was a Mrs.
O'Leary.
O'Leary's cow.
If your last name is O'Leary, shouldn't you own a cow?
I agree.
Like, shouldn't you be able to milk and get milk the cow and get your own milk
Checks out.
Mhm.
But what I was going to say
and
is
root
that
for Notre Dame?
Jerry
Always.
Reinsdorf.
Is that stereotypical?
But it's
Am
true.
I going to get dinged on that?
No,
No.
because it's true.
No one's dinging you.
Dad's rooting for
If
Notre
you're
Dame
Irish,
tonight.
do you automatically have to be a Notre Dame fan?
I'm Irish. I'm not a Notre Dame fan.
Do you like potatoes if you're Irish?
I love
Mm.
potatoes.
Mm.
My mom
Shout out
one time
potatoes.
fed my dad Idaho Spuds, and he got pissed. He was like, "I don't eat Idaho Spuds."
Do you, if you're a full-blooded Irishman or woman, do you absolutely hate St. Patrick's Day?
Why would you?
You love you too.
Oh, I hate St. Patrick's
Why
Day.
do you hate St. Patrick's Day?
Because it is so many amateurs are out there trying to drink on that day.
It's a young man's game, Sharp.
You know what? I'm there on the 16th. I'm there on the 18th. You show up on the 17th, and I laugh at you because you make a complete fool of yourself with all this debauchery. So
Oh,
you know
but it's
what?
debauchery.
Hey, people show up, one time. I'm not a one-time guy. I like to have multiples.
I like I firmly believe with St. Patrick's Day, the earlier you show up, the earlier you get to leave. So I show up really early. The earliest I can get there, just get it over with. Let's just get drunk,
Oh,
and then I get to
you're-
bed at 5
You're
o'clock.
famously from a town that dyes the lake. But here in Omaha,
So dumb.
we do have a tendency to celebrate St. Patty's Day pretty well in this town.
I'm excited. Lincoln did a pretty good job. Lincoln had a couple nice Irish bars in
Oh
that
yeah,
area.
you'll be
that I
right
went
up
down
in
there
it this
and-
year.
I will be. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't. I mean,
I'll be on the couch. Watching
spring
basketball.
spring break was the same week as St. Patrick's Day for UNL last year. And there were multiple juniors and multiple seniors who went to school on Monday with the biggest headache you could imagine. That was the talk of the town.
Amateurs,
They were like,
pop
dude,
some Tylenol, hit the hay.
Pedialyte.
I've
Hasn't
never
Matt
drank more.
Verzal taught you anything.
I've never drank more in my entire life than that week. Arizona, straight back to Lincoln on the weekend, St. Patrick's Day. I spent about 24 total hours over 3 days in that McKinney's tent. It was disgusting.
Sounds like the Charlie Weiss era.
Well, they had it wasn't the last tournament here in town. Was it the tournament where Kansas and Wichita State were here, but it
Oh,
was over
15.
St. Patty's Day
Yeah.
weekend? That was pretty good.
Yeah.
They have the NCAA first and second round here.
Greg Marshall still
I like
watches
it.
that
I like
daily.
it when you hearken back to like memories and you just start smiling thinking about them. I mean, just the pearly white teeth just start creeping out of that.
I'm pretty sure that I was sitting on a bar stool next to Keith Langford. I am almost convinced that that's who it was. But we were clanging glasses. We were talking ball. I am convinced that was Keith Langford. But
Keith, 12 of
I-
30 against Syracuse, the line.
I was not in a position to ask him.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you know, you know.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Keith, does Mike Lee make that three if Warwick doesn't helicopter and block it?
Jimmy, positive notes. You were scuttling in the first half last night against ASU, and I think Arizona State scored 13 in the second half.
Yeah.
Hey, putting
Yeah.
Shaquille Moore in the starting lineup, that's worked out for you.
You see that Texas
You gotta do
A&M
something.
Oklahoma game?
That's
What a
big
thriller,
win
man!
for Texas A&M.
And we're getting to
People
the
say that
point.
Trev's a basketball guy.
We're getting to the point where the SEC is now eating itself alive, like in conference play,
Sounds
and
morbid.
I'm all here for it.
Yeah, and then the Big Ten had the team that I think has the most upside in college basketball, Illinois.
Yeah, they played great yesterday too.
Mercy rule. They beat Penn State so bad that Sandusky was like, gosh, that was impressive.
Yikes.
All right,
Well done.
I mentioned Baxter Arena. That was your first time in there last
Yeah.
night. I want your thoughts.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We'll do that when we come back. Also, we'll get into, because Eli Pritchett is in.
Yep.
6'6", 327. The Golden Corral will be very happy in Lincoln. He is a large man, but there could be a DB and a wide receiver that are on their way as well. And Matt Rule tweeted yesterday for the first time in a while. Tweeted out a puzzle. Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple, Brian Edwards, all still to come as we roll till 10 on a Thursday on 1620 The Zone. All right, good Thursday morning. Welcome back in. Fortunately, we live in Omaha where there is no snow. People are disappointed. The weather,
I'm not.
women and men, and then the landscaping, lawn care, snow removal. People are very, very disappointed.
Isn't that a great business though? Has this always been the case where the landscapers during the summer where they turn into winter guys as well? Like that's become I don't know if that was a thing. It's become recently where our landscapers also doubled as our people. Because when I was growing up, from the ages of 8 to 16, I'd be up, crack ass at dawn, shoveling, making sure that everything's okay, salting. Like that's just kind of, I didn't do a lot of hard work growing up. My dad wasn't very much a handy guy where I had to hold the flashlight and everything like that. I did that with my abuelo, but that was when I was young. But that was our form of hard work. When it shoveled, he bang, 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 both me and my brother's door, 5:30 in the morning. Hey, grab the shovels.
They gonna shovel
Go
itself.
ahead, let's go. Then when Chris got to a certain age, Dad bought a snowblower, and he goes, Chris, you got the snowblower. Matt, you got the shovel. Then I come home from college, and it snows, right? Yeah. I'm about 18 at this point, and I'm I go, hey, I'll get up at 5:30 in the morning, no problem. Do you have the salt and everything to go? And Mom goes, no. Our landscapers, they got 3 guys with snowblowers, and they got all the salt, they got everything. And I go, what? I was like, has that always been available? Has that always been an option?
Yeah, but so are you.
Have you been holding that back for me for the last 10 years? Could we always have had these guys do it? But yeah, is that it? Seriously, is that a newer thing?
So lawn care and snow removal. That's a good combination.
It's a great
combo. Work year round.
Yeah.
But I was watching a local newscast last night before I went to Baxter, and the female meteorologist was going through the forecast. And next week it's going to be, I don't know, 42. But
golf weather.
There might be some snow tonight. But we don't have any snow on the ground here, and we essentially haven't gotten any snow in the winter. Thank you.
Yeah.
She said this, and the news anchor was disappointed. And I'm like, that's okay. You don't need to be disappointed. No. It's okay. We can live with snow. We just keep chopping off the days. All right. Sarah Baker Hansen, about an hour away. Last night at Baxter Arena, Omaha men's basketball, one of the best defensive efforts I've seen in a while out of that program. They beat Kansas City. It was a big one. It was a big stage, nationally televised. So everybody kind of got to see Omaha and Kansas City in the Summit League in Baxter Arena. But they won the game. It was exciting. The game got close in the second half. Kansas City got within 6. Probably the old Mavs.
Yeah.
But the new Mavs, who have won 5 in a row, went on a 13-0 run, and they won comfortably last night. So they're 3-0. They're atop the Summit League. It's a one-bid league, so it's not like they're going to make a run and get in the NCAA tournament as an at-large. But they are 3-0 with St. Thomas, and that's pretty important. They get South Dakota State at 1. Busy weekend at Baxter Arena. Omaha hockey is back. Colorado College, who they played well against in Omaha, is ranked number 13. So Friday, Saturday hockey, doubleheader on Saturday.
Wow. Because
the men play at 1. Now that building is, what is Baxter, 10 years old? And it was, what Trev did to build that arena and then add softball and baseball. The facility is great. I love it for hockey. I have my issues here and there with basketball set up in there. But last night was your first trip in there. Did you get there early and walk around?
Yes. So first off, I walk in through the front doors and immediately I'm a little startled because I didn't know.
You were met by Durango?
I didn't know it was also a public hockey rink. I didn't know that there was high school hockey games and super cool. That's where I grew up. I grew up in rinks like that. We had a couple like that in Western and Southern Illinois where the Chicago Steel, the USHL hockey team, that is that's where we played the IHSA state playoffs. It's a beautiful rink. And it's one of those where you go and you play there, but then also you go to a Steel game, you're like, oh, this is a venue, it was a little bit different. And to play on the Steel rink was a big deal. If you're going to play with a Steel we're playing, that's where we played any sort of championship game. That's where we played. And it reminded me of Omaha. So when I walked in, I thought it was just an arena. I saw kids walking out with hockey bags. I'm like, am I at the, I looked up, I go, it says Baxter. I'm like, okay, we're cool here.
But did you drive in off of Center? So you see it right when you drive in is the practice rink.
No, I didn't drive in that way. I passed the Napa Auto Parts.
So you came in on Grover.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You appear to be a backdoor guy.
Yep. Well, I think that's
underrated
like I don't really know the streets and the highways or anything. That was a good one, Jimmy. So I walk in,
Wouldn't be in my top 5.
I go
Well,
up,
right.
go up the
That's why it's
stairs. I
underrated.
grab myself a free T-shirt. I forgot the T-shirt at the game.
Oh,
Just amateur hour central.
Okay, there's somebody that was
Um,
cleaning the place has got
oh.
a new T-shirt this morning.
They probably got a couple. I did a lap.
Okay.
What I like is I look for a couple things. First off, the bathrooms were easily accessible. Big fan of that. A lot of urinals, a lot of stalls.
That is
Um,
true. That is true.
It is. I
think they have a lot that have a lot even more female
Sure.
stalls.
Well, I
which
wouldn't
is
know.
Probably, yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Wow,
really
you
know.
really
the-
are trying to
the
meet
like-
girls here.
That's
Yeah.
that when the place is empty, I go in and check out the female stalls.
Yeah, how does it look? Do we got the proper infrastructure for the ladies? No, I walk through the men's bathroom. I go, wow, there's a lot of stalls and a lot of space and a lot of infrastructure, but it made for a very easy access, quick in,
Mhm.
quick out. You had plenty of space when you did your business. The second thing I look for is when you're walking on the concourse, there are some moments where you need to go and you need to like grab something, but maybe the game is going on. And I look, can I still see into the arena? You can do that, which I was a big fan of.
Yeah, there's only one area you can't, and that's when you're behind the club.
Yes.
But other than that, it's a wraparound concourse where you don't miss any action.
I'm a big fan of that. How the concession stands,
Mhm.
long lines, but a lot of people working. They had plenty of staff back there and moved quickly whenever I needed to go and get. I had
They're
some
always
fries,
very
I had a
nice.
hot dog. It was very quick. It was very orderly. Very impressed by that. I think the infrastructure, just in general, like just a very nicely
Mhm.
put together place. Seats, full leather, full black leather, very, very comfortable, easy to sit in. Couple of critiques. So number one,
Give it to me.
I don't like
That
the
you had to pay
digital.
$8 for a box of popcorn.
No, I don't like the digital program. I'm not a fan that I have to go up to a screen and I have to
Yeah.
scan the QR code, and then you have to like you're on
What's
your
that,
phone and
Hoop
you have to like
magazine?
you don't even scroll through it. You have to like press through it after like trying it for a couple minutes to go. This isn't. This isn't.
Post-COVID, there are very few places that I go
Yes.
now that professional or college or even high school
Yeah.
that they do not have a program. Like high school, I still like I'll give credit. Omaha West Side does this incredible program every year,
Yeah.
like an actual program. But there are a lot more high schools where they don't hand out roster sheets at the gate. They say, hey, you got to scan that.
Not a fan.
But there are more and more college venues, not necessarily football, because the Nebraska football program won't go away.
No.
But there's a lot more places where they say, hey, here's the digital program, download it. But basketball, I see it more. And it's
Yeah.
not just a Summit League team.
No.
Like I think Iowa State had the same thing.
It's just one of those.
Yeah, it's inconvenient, but it's
I'm just-
post-COVID.
It's post-COVID, but I'm just an old school guy.
Yeah,
like when
yeah.
I showed up to my first ever Cubs game, like Dad grabbed a scorecard, like grabbed the program. We kept the program. He has some of his favorite programs, some of his favorite games. Like that's just kind of like still to this day. When back in like I think it was maybe post-COVID, there used to be a stand at Wrigley where you go and you get your scorecard. It wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Like it was extinct, and I was like, where the heck did it go? It's just one of those things. Not an Omaha thing, just a sport thing.
Yeah.
I want a physical program. Secondly, I was sitting behind the Omaha bench.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great spot to be in.
Yeah, you were creepy. You were sending
Okay.
me pictures of myself.
I sent you one picture. You look good in that white quarter zip, man. You're looking good. It looked good on you.
It was white out.
It was.
I hate that quarter zip though.
and I
don't
wore
wearing
white. I wore white,
Same.
to represent or whatever. But
My man had a T-shirt on.
I did.
T-shirt and jeans. He looked like he was going
Chilly
to the
day.
Playhouse to try out for Greece.
I look good, man. I look good. I was styling. I had the nice little.
Who was the guy you were sitting next to? Was that a friend?
No, I went by myself.
Okay,
You
because I
got
didn't know if you
friends?
knew him.
No.
He used to play basketball at Omaha.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Yeah, these guys. I think I was sitting in like the family, friends,
you
former
were,
player
yeah,
section
yeah.
because all the people who were going by me were much taller than me and much more athletic looking. Like it was a little intimidating at times for them, like all to be like, "Excuse me, sorry,
Mhm.
whatever." I'm like,
If
"No,
I
no,
were
no problem." So behind the basket on the Omaha bench side, right?
Okay?
Behind that, you have those 3 tables that are there, and I think that's set up for.
Like the entertainment beer garden type
Yes.
area. Yeah.
So I would, and this is back to your point of like it was built for a hockey rink, right? I would never buy seats back there
Yeah.
in that area. It's just way too far away.
Mhm.
You're behind the basket. Already it's a tough place to watch the game anyway. But to be that far, I mean, you are a good like 30-ish yards probably away
Yeah.
from the basket if you're sitting in that area. And it's almost as if that like they haven't put a cover up over it, but if you've been to that arena before, I don't want to buy seats over there.
Yeah, and they don't really sell them because if you are in the ends, like for hockey, maybe twice during a game, that's where Omaha's going to shoot, and they're like, hey, great seat. Basketball, not so much. You're a long way away.
Long
from the
way
floor.
away.
Yeah.
And it just feels like you're kind of cutting off a pretty big section of like where you could be sitting. Now, I know on the other side where they have the student section, they pull that out, right?
Yep.
And so they're closer and that works for them. But it was a little weird for me to see how far away those seats were from the basket. I will say this, though, about the arena. When I don't know how often, if they ever do sell out or how often it gets packed or whatever.
Have not sold out. Probably the ceiling right now, and this is usually when South Dakota State is in town because they have a big alumni base. And Omaha, if you're just going to one Omaha men's basketball game and you're like, I'm a big fan of the Mavs. When do they play the Jacks?
Yeah.
It is when they're in town. Probably 4,000.
Okay.
Like last night, I think they announced 2,300.
What is that seat?
So for hockey, it's over 8.
Okay.
So they configure it for, like, they could open up the upper level if need be.
Yeah.
But it's configured for comfortably 4,000 for basketball.
It is made in a way, and some arenas aren't made this way, where it can get loud, where you are sunk in enough and you are close enough to the floor and people are sitting, like you have enough room like sideways and you have enough room vertically, but also you're down on one another where it could get loud. Like, so they made the arena the correct way where it's like you could have a legitimate home court advantage if enough people were to go to the games. Overall, I would give Baxter Arena a 8.2 out of 10.
Wow,
I was really
On the
impressed.
Richter
I
scale,
like
that's
smaller. I like smaller arenas. I like it. It's comfy. It's nice, but it's not one of those smaller arenas where it's rinky dink. Like it's really well put together.
Yep.
Everything. I mean, you can tell that they thought about it. Like they really thought, like, hey, how can we make a very efficient arena in different aspects, in different regards of a viewing experience? And so I was super impressed with it, and I definitely will continue to go to more Omaha basketball games and Omaha hockey games.
Yeah, definitely taking hockey. Again, the place was built for hockey. I like watching hockey in there. Now, next year they will have new ribbon boards and a new scoreboard. That building is 10 years old.
Yeah.
So they'll have that. My thing with basketball at Baxter is, and this is, so the athletic director, Adrian Dow, is a basketball guy. So hockey is the top of Omaha athletics, but men's basketball has to be good. They need those two sports to be really, really good because there are other sports at Omaha that are very successful, men's and women's, but they need those two sports to consistently be very, very good.
Sure.
And they play in the same venue. Ideally, you would have Baxter Arena for hockey and men's basketball, and you'd have something like Sokol Arena. I think Sokol Arena is such a bonus for Creighton volleyball and women's basketball. It's not a gigantic facility. It is an intimate facility that I still can't believe. I thought it used to seat 4,000, and then I was told, no, it only seats 2,800. So it's a great intimate. People are on top of it. It's a nice place to play. That would be ideal for Omaha to have a competition arena like that where women's basketball and volleyball could play in there instead of in this mammoth arena where, women's basketball doesn't draw. Volleyball draws a little bit better, but still you're kind of swallowed up by 7,000 empty seats. They're always working on the atmosphere for men's basketball. A lot of it has to do with the music and the presentation, all that stuff.
I was impressed with it. I thought the music presentation was pretty good.
They have more people that get it, that understand how important basketball is. So they're in a good spot. They're moving forward. They're always going to be in this town. They're going to, Creighton. Creighton has a great atmosphere, and Creighton's a top 25 basketball program. They need to carve out their own niche, and you do that by winning. But we all talk about this with Omaha men's basketball is, what is it like when you go to the tournament the first time? What does that change in the athletic department? What does that change about the university? What does that change about people in this town? Which Adrian did a Q&A with Chattel, and it was really, really good. The amount of alumni from UNO that are in this town, but there's still a lot of those alumni I run into that think that Omaha, because they still play some of the same teams that they played when they were in the North Central Conference in Division II.
Yeah.
They're like, are they Division I? Yeah, they've been, outside of hockey, which has been Division I a lot longer. Everybody else has been Division I for 14 years. So it's been a slow process. They just need to crack the ceiling. And then after that, look at we go down to Oral Roberts once a year. Oral Roberts made that run during the COVID at Sweet 16, and then they went back to the tournament, and they had, Max Asmus, which everybody knew. All of a sudden, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is smaller than Omaha, they draw about 4,500 a game.
Wow.
Could that happen at Omaha with men's basketball?
Sure.
If they crack the ceiling, they get to the tournament, they're consistently winning. They have local players mixed with really good players. You look and you go, oh, man, they lost Frankie. Okay, Frankie was a draw. Everybody knew Frankie.
Yeah.
And they had opportunities. It's just they've had opportunities. 18-19, they had a great team. That was a fun year, really, really good. Won an incredible game against South Dakota State, and then only had one more home game after that, and it was 2 days later before people went, oh, man, the home season is over, because we finished the year on the road, and that's the year they got to the Summit League final and came up short. So winning a game like last night early on in the year is great, because if you can continue the momentum, people will talk about Omaha men's basketball, and people will be like, I got to go check this out. And I think what they do in that building, once you get them in one time, you put on a good enough show on the floor and off the floor, and it's a comfortable environment. You feel safe.
Absolutely.
You're going to want to come back.
So you rather have the facilities before you have a boost like Oral Roberts did, right? You don't want to have a boost like Oral Roberts did, having the runs that they have, and then, we have this rinky-dink stadium that doesn't really support things, and it's really not a great place to go and watch a game. You'd rather have that to begin with, and then when the people start to come, you're ready to go, and then they go, like I did, when I didn't grow up here. I've never been to a game before, and I went, and I'll tell you something right now. I look forward to watching games at Baxter Arena, whether it be hockey, whether it be basketball, and it was just a really impressive atmosphere. I think that when Omaha gave the crowd a reason to get loud, the crowd got loud. They were into it. It's a smart basketball crowd. I will say this, and this is just a little, I know it's unrealistic, and it's just like a funny little thing, but if the Jumbotron was just a little bit bigger, that would be nice.
It's coming next year.
Yeah. It's just, maybe I am spoiled from the United Center Jumbotron and how big that thing is, and the fact that not only do they just have the number and the points and the fouls, but you have the rebounds, the assists, the steals, the turn, you have all that. Just give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more. Did you see me on the air guitar, by the way? I was on the air guitar on the Jumbotron. I was on the air guitar cam.
Did not.
Air guitar legend.
Did not. We didn't.
Funny thing is, they weren't even playing music when he did it.
Yes, thankfully, I did not see that. But so Omaha in Baxter Arena is going to have new ribbon boards next year and a new overhead scoreboard.
Okay. What's a ribbon board?
Those are the
LED.
Okay, so at the end where they display the score, all the stats and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They have
advertisements. I gotcha.
So
ribbon board.
Also,
cool.
Also, CHI is going to have a new scoreboard next year with updated ribbon boards. And here's the kicker.
Yeah.
You haven't been in it, but Jimmy will get it. So they're going to upgrade the scoreboard. This is the plan at the Chuck. But my follow-up question was, what are they going to do in left field? I don't really care to see the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge anymore. I want to see a scoreboard and not a hole where a scoreboard should be. So that might be coming as well.
I've been in Chuck. I know what you're talking about. I've been to the Schwab.
Omaha is about to upgrade with technology. And look at this. Go a step further. There's a new Husker Vision coming in Lincoln.
Oh, a new
board.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you feel it?
Can you feel
I think
they played Joker and the Thief way too early in the game. You cannot be playing. Everyone back at Omaha, the production staff or whatever, cannot be playing Joker and the Thief in the under 4 first half media timeout.
Just really Wolf Mother.
That's just way too early to be playing that song.
We're just trying to get where they play music when the guys come out to warm up.
Okay.
We got baby steps.
So wait.
Baby steps.
I love the Enter Sandman, right? The Enter Sandman when they're all running out. That's really cool. But they just, as soon as they step on the floor, they cut it off. It kind of kills the vibe.
Omaha's not like other places. We were recently at a place where, the players have a playlist and they'll play it. Well, maybe people aren't in the building yet or the gates just open. We were at a rather significant and successful Power 5 basketball program,
No.
there was no editing of the songs.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I heard that in a
Oh,
high school game I
no.
did once.
Oh.
Yeah.
That
I've never
happened,
seen an
though.
old
Probably-
principal run so fast.
Probably mom and dad had to do some splaining to the kids.
We had we had our own hockey locker room in our rink. It was the Notre Dame College Prep hockey locker room. We were playing a massive game against Bennett. Okay. And Bennett is a top 5 team in the state. We were on a winning streak. We had a lot of people coming that night. The president of the high school came. The athletic director came. The assistant athletic director came. Coaches from different sports came. We had a full student section out. And so, where they hang out, where all those people were hanging out, were right outside the locker room. Well, we had this massive boom box. Massive, massive boom box. And our captain is a good guy, but he's a little crazy, like hockey captains come.
Did he
And-
dye his hair as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Regular Gunner Stall.
he had the playlist. He had the playlist, and it was unedited. And to say that the coaches after that game,
Oh
first
my.
off, were pissed. But second off, they're like, we are now doing the play. Like the coaches had the playlist for the rest of the season.
Yacht
Everyone
Rocket Days.
learned what Aerosmith was and what Metallica was and what AC/DC was. We were playing 80s and 90s rock for the rest of the way out. And we were like,
You never lost again, did you?
no, I mean, we had a good run, but we were like, what the heck, man? Like we wanted to listen to our stuff. It was a bad moment.
Mama,
Bad
what kind of
moment in Notre
control
Dame
are they
hockey
saying?
history.
I will say when I heard that song, I did pull out my phone and Shazam it. I was like sitting courtside holding up. I'm like, that's actually a good song. I just don't know that I would play this version while people are in the building.
How historic of a university were you at? You weren't in the Fog Allen, weren't you?
No.
Okay.
But they have won a national championship in basketball.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Missouri's out.
Yeah. Yeah. Them hoes weren't having a good night that night. One other thing that was mentioned,
That was a good-
again, it was really good Q&A between Adrian and Tom. There's always this discussion about should Creighton and Nebraska play Omaha. And Omaha and Nebraska played a couple of years ago, and Trev was a big part of that. When Trev went to Nebraska, Omaha and Nebraska had been talking about playing. They played 2 years ago. And so
Yeah.
Trev pushed it through.
Wasn't it at Omaha?
No.
Oh, okay. Was it at Lincoln?
There
No
There-
way it would be.
There
at,
is a
okay.
better chance of things happening to me than
Sure.
Creighton
Sure.
and Nebraska playing
Playing,
at Baxter Arena,
Fair enough.
which
My apologies.
which would be mammoth. That would be.
I don't
that
know.
would
They
pretty cool.
played. They played at the
Yeah.
Oregon State. They played at the dome.
Sanford Pentagon.
The Sanford Pentagon.
Not a dome.
I know. It had an interesting name. They played there. They can play at Baxter.
Not very far from Fleet Farm. I'm very excited about Fleet Farm opening up in Omaha for some odd reason. But back to
Yeah. Sorry.
so Trev went to Nebraska, and the contract was sitting there, and Nebraska and Omaha were going back and forth. And Trev told DH, he goes, "We're going to make this happen." So the game happened. Nebraska and Omaha have had discussions about next year, but here's the thing, and this is from Omaha's standpoint, and Creighton there has been some interest. I don't know that side as well as I know the Omaha Nebraska interest, but Omaha needs to get paid. So when Nebraska pays North Dakota $100,000 to come to Lincoln next year, and Nebraska has an interest in playing Omaha, Omaha is going to want
yeah.
$100,000
Yeah.
to play Nebraska.
Maybe
Or they
more.
would take a discount and say, we'll give you 95. So there has been some discussions, but it's not Nebraska's running from Omaha. There's the financial impact of it as well, because Omaha can say, well, okay, we can either go to Lincoln and only make 70, or Virginia Tech wants to bring us to Blacksburg and they'll give us 120.
Yeah.
That's the dynamics. It's the financial part of it, but that's where they are. But you know what happens? If Omaha men's basketball wins, then they're in a much better spot. And so Creighton and Nebraska look at it as, hey, this is a win. Now, you don't want to ever lose to
Sure.
Omaha, but you're
Sure.
like, okay, it's not going to ding us as much as, playing East Tennessee, West Virginia Wesleyan.
Also, it'll
It would
draw.
be very tough. That you'd be playing about 5 different schools at the same time.
It'll be a draw too, though, because if
Huey
you're playing East Tennessee, you're not going to sell out PBA. But if you're playing Omaha, I mean, even if you don't sell out PBA playing Omaha, you're going to come pretty damn close. Like it's going to be a notable matchup where everyone involved will make a lot of money and people will have a lot of fun doing it.
All right, when we come back, let's talk some football. Nebraska football portaling yesterday. And even though, like an Eli Pritchett says, Tuscaloosa, peace, I'm out. I want to live in Lincoln. Lincoln might not be for everybody. And does that whittle down your list of coaches that might be interested in taking your special teams job? We'll get into that. Steve Sipple in an hour. Sarah Baker Hansen coming up at the top of the hour. Brian Edwards with his thoughts on the first semifinal tonight between Notre Dame and Penn State. Texas, Ohio State tomorrow. And we're still going to call it that. Super Wild Card Weekend in the NFL.
Yeah.
All that to come on a Thursday of Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone.
Underdog is the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going off and which ones are ice cold, with over 5 million happy players and $2 million. One Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. With their pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats like yards, touchdowns, interceptions, more. Perfect for this weekend. Every dog deserves a second chance, and with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Good to know. With Underdog's double flex option, you can even take 2 L's and turn them into a W. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at the college football playoff tonight, tomorrow. I need to get back on the green side of things, so we'll see what it does for me. Underdog is the best place to play Pick'em. You can download the app, sign up with promo code ZONE, deposit now, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code ZONE. Must be 19 plus in Nebraska and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit ncpgambling.org.
You good?
Am I what? I was pushing the button.
I know you're pushing a lot of buttons there.
just
As a
seeing if
quick
they,
trigger, that was a lot of experience over
Just-
there.
Just seeing if that button works. Okay. Ding, ding, ding,
You
ding.
down with OPP?
Are you?
I don't even know. I don't know what OPP is.
Other people's puppies.
Live on the radio. Google it, and why don't you read it out loud?
What is I have a good feeling that this I'm glad or it's a good thing this isn't a company computer. What is OPP?
People would like to know, Matt, are you down with OPP?
I know what OCP is.
You know me.
Would you like to read for people?
Yeah,
that-
I'm on dictionary.com. I'm trying to look up what
Try
OPP is.
Urban Dictionary.
What does OPP is an acronym that refers to the oh, okay. Got it.
Nether
Got it.
regions.
Yeah. No, I got a hard and fast rule on that. Not down with OPP.
You did say though.
Well, it was the song.
Are you like DeMornay Personnel? Are you reversing field? Are you like what Justin Fields, who should start for Pittsburgh against the Ravens?
Did you see
would
that
do?
Arthur Smith interview? Oof.
Have you seen Arthur Smith? Period.
Oof. Well, he's one of the 18,000 people that are interviewing for the Chicago Bears job. Did they text you? Did the Bears reach out to you for a virtual interview?
Yes.
By
they
the
did.
way,
Yes,
you
they
know
did.
that
would
they're-
hire Arthur Smith.
They're doing all of
they
the
would.
interviews right now over Zoom because they don't want to give the tour 18 times of Hallis Hall and all the facilities. They're like, yeah, we really don't want to be like, here's George's hat,
Unserious
here's Virginia's,
franchise.
here's Virginia's wheelchair.
Here's George Wendt.
Here's that one Super Bowl we won. Here is the pom poms of the no longer regarded honey bears. You know, this is
Are you going to be okay when your beloved number one candidate, Ben Johnson, goes to Jacksonville and he chose going to Jacksonville to work for Trent Baalke over taking the Bears job?
You get Dave McGinnis.
Because I think Ben Johnson may be the Jacksonville head coach.
good hire for them.
it's a. I mean,
But
first
isn't he
off,
supposed to be the Bears head coach?
he is. I mean, that's.
But now you're
that's
going to get
been-
Matt Campbell and you have to change your team colors to black.
Oh,
I don't. I don't get that.
Well,
Him
you-
taking the interview is interesting, though. You think that I don't
trip
know.
to Chicago.
You think that he would be
you
a?
said
well,
you only want Matts as your head coach of the
no,
Bears.
my God! If we did
Ooh.
another Matt,
We should
I
do a
didn't
top
even
five
think
Matts
of
for
that,
him.
Gary. I didn't even think of he's a Matt.
He's a Matt. He's a Matt Campbell.
Oh no!
He's a
Matt
Cam-
and Ryan once again. I'm
he's
never
a-
going to escape the hellhole that is having Matt and Ryan run my football team.
You need
He-
Matt Ryan.
So he must be this. He has to be Matt Campbell is going to interview, and he's been at Iowa State since 16. They're coming off a great season.
They are.
He
He's
has
a heck of a
he has a
football coach.
good life in Ames, but as we know, Iowa State coaches are hired to end up in Chicago. Fred Hoiberg, Tim Floyd,
Yeah.
Matt Campbell's going to interview, but they said there was a surprise candidate. Matt Campbell must be the surprise candidate.
Yeah, I think Kafka too. Pretty surprising considering the fact that the Giants offense really wasn't all that great last year outside of Malik Neighbors looking good. But Kafka played at St.
Regular.
Rita's. And
Ray
see,
Hanley.
some people may be like, why does it matter that Mike Kafka played at St. Rita's? Well, St. Rita's is a part of the Eastern or the ESCC. I don't know the acronym.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to correct you. Yeah, you're right.
The ESCC. Notre Dame College Prep.
ESEC.
Notre Dame College Prep is in the ESCC. All the McCaskey boys went to Notre Dame College Prep, played in the ESCC. So they know this is
Oh.
serious.
Hey, I'm
That's
just
a
trying to
prerequisite.
serious. I'm just trying
They-
to figure out
Mike-
locally who's still
Mike-
in the River City conference.
Mike Kafka played in the same conference as the McCaskey boys, and so they've known Mike for a little bit in terms of they've been familiar with him. He's a Chicago guy.
Just hold
And
out for
so
Mike
that was a
McCarthy.
surprise one. I
Just
want
gotta wait 5 days.
if
He-
they hire Matt Campbell.
Save that.
We're gonna get a rant. You know, when they're gonna hire the wrong guy.
We have a dumb
And it's
button.
going to be terrible. And I'm just going to rant for about 6 minutes and just scream into this microphone because they can never get it right.
Well, there's only, I would say there's maybe 10 front offices in the NFL that are like worthwhile. They know what they're doing.
Yours.
Yours.
Not mine.
No?
Hey,
Not
by the way,
his.
look at the socks that I'm wearing right now. Look at this. Look at how this franchise has. Let me put
Thought
it
they were
up
rubber
there.
duckies.
Look at that. Okay,
Okay.
they went 5-12 this year, and I'm wearing socks.
Dude, you got a lot of hair. What the hell does your back look like?
No, I don't have back hair. I have zero back hair.
Not yet.
I disagree. I bet
I
you're
zero
I
that
bet you're a
time.
grizzly bear.
Zero. No, I just
You got
the
a lot
arm-
of
it's
hair on your
weird.
legs and
I know.
your
I got
arms.
hairy legs, man. That's why I wear jeans every day. I'm not a shorts guy.
Oh, he's got
It's a
diet
little
OBV.
No, I'm being honest. It's a little
You ever
embarrassing.
seen the movie Teen Wolf?
No, I haven't.
So
I'm
good.
no. This is actually
You
something.
could actually probably make a run at it.
This is actually something
You
that
got
I'm
a lot
little.
of hair on your legs.
I'm
That's
Gary.
shave those things.
Gary, I'm kind of insecure about it.
The hair?
The hair?
Yeah, I have really hairy legs, and it's tough to wear shorts.
Don't put that in the
summer
Tinder
and
profile.
go out and hang out with people. It's often a comment that's made by everybody who first hangs out with me when I have shorts on. You can ask all my friends, Matt's a pants guy.
Jesus, man, is that Bermuda or bluegrass?
It leads me to a question, not about your hairy legs, but holy cow. And you're also a pull up the socks guy? Here, let me show you my
No, I'm pulled down.
Let me show you my sock.
No, I pulled up the sock so people can see the logo. Look at my left sock that I didn't look. Well, that's actually pulled
that's
up.
like
That's pulled up. Dang it.
That's like mid calf. I like no shows.
You're this Florida cool, California cool, no
a lot
show
of people
van.
that don't.
Dale
A lot of
cool.
people that do not live in that state wear no shows. No shows are the way to go.
Yeah, I wear no shows.
Yeah, I got to think about socks. Here you go. So
Okay, give it to me. Oh, I love this.
I have like many Americans, I have this washing machine that eats socks.
Yes.
So it took me about 7 years to process socks out. I'm kind of like, running a college football program. I got to process some things out.
Yes.
And I have some PTSD about what that sock did or didn't do to me and how I lost its friend. So I made a vow about 7 years ago that I was only going to buy socks that were the same brand.
I
So
love that.
The Fruit of the Loom sock is all I have, so I can't get confused.
Yep.
I'm not mixing and matching.
That's like my kind
I
of
got the
thinking.
Adidas no show. I got the Fruit of the Loom no show. I never have to overthink
Sure.
folding up the sock because I hate folding up the socks. The socks are the last thing I do with my laundry when I put it away and put it together. So I made the change. It was a game changer. It actually added years to my life.
Wow.
So just a little tip there.
I
Go
might
back to the
take
hairy
that.
legs.
Yeah, I got hairy legs, man. It's
Holy
the Cuban in
moly.
me. My brother doesn't have hair on his body. The dude is just
Is he
kind
a
of
swimmer?
nope. He's a skate. My brother's 5'7", 120 pounds. He got the short end of the stick.
Is he ill?
Literally.
No,
Okay.
he's
Just
a very
checking.
he works out, he walks a lot, he's a healthy dude, he eats pretty well. He just got the metabolism of a god and just cannot gain weight, cannot get fat, good looking guy, but he's shorter. I got the brunt of it. Here's another thing though. I have a new system.
Adopted?
No, I have a new system. I put my clothes in a hamper, but I have a separate hamper for my socks.
Okay.
So I put
Oh.
my shirts, my shorts, everything in one hamper, and then I take off my socks and I put them in a separate one
It's called
because
efficiency.
Yeah.
I had the problem. I lose socks all the time. I would have to always buy socks, different brands, whatever. I go, you know what? We're solving this right here, right now. So I bought a little, I have
to
a big
Florida, no
basket for
socks.
the clothes, and I have this small little basket. And I just take them off, I plop them in there, and then I mix the two,
Yeah.
and then I reorganize.
My question about living in Lincoln. So, Nebraska is looking for a special teams coordinator. Mike Eckler,
Tennessee.
No more Mohawk.
fam still lives here in Nebraska, not very far from where we are at.
I like him.
Would you play along with this? And it's not just a Mike Eckler thing. That Lincoln is not for everybody when they are looking to move up in their career as a coach.
Well, okay, wait. You got to reword that. Lincoln isn't for everybody
Size
to
of the
live
town.
to live because you
To
said
live in.
moving up in your career as a coach. Because I think the University of Nebraska is a great place to move up
Mhm.
in your career as a coach. But if you're talking about just living in Lincoln, not for everybody. Absolutely.
Because I don't know if Mike Eckler wants to come back to living in Lincoln.
I grew
Got
up
a
in the
good
mid-
gig at Tennessee. He likes Josh Heupel.
Yeah. I grew up
Now,
in
he'd be a home run for Nebraska.
Mhm.
But I'm
Sure.
walking you through a scenario where living in Lincoln as an assistant football coach isn't for everybody. And I wonder how many people along the process, because that was one of the things with Jake Peetz. His wife was not super comfortable with moving back to Nebraska.
Well, look at Tony White. Look at Terrence Knighton.
Terrence Knighton was the bigger one. I think Tony had started to build some roots, and he also had kids that were in school. Terrence Knighton was the one where Lincoln wasn't exactly for him.
Sure. It's just if you're not used to living in the Midwest, if you didn't grow up like I grew up living in the Midwest, you grew up living in the Midwest. I've often said that Lincoln reminds me a little bit like Lincoln Park in Chicago, where it's Chicago's got those small little like towns within the town, right? Like Lincoln is like one of those towns where you have a lot of great restaurants, you have a lot of great bar food and bars and places to go out and hang out and whatnot. But it's cold. And there are some people who grew up in California and Florida or who have moved like you moved to Florida. You loved it. It was great. I bet it was a little bit tougher coming back to Nebraska after experiencing that weather and that like culture and living down there. And so I think that when people move away from the Midwest and they experience better weather, right? And maybe more things that are better accustomed to them, it's hard to move back. And especially if you weren't born in the Midwest, it's hard to go there. And it's just a different style of living. I totally agree. It's not, unless you're used to it, unless you grew up in it, like, you and I did. Jimmy, you didn't grow up in the Midwest, right?
I grew up in Texas, but I'm in the Midwest.
But it was a little bit of a difficult transition for you, I bet, right? I mean,
you make friends.
Yeah.
Drink beer. Yeah, it worked out.
But like
now I know that Snickers can be in a salad.
Some people it doesn't work out. I mean, it's just a different style of living. So
it's
I
also
think
a
it's
fishbowl, because it's the only show in town.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of eyes on you. I'll tell you, I do not envy some of those football players and some of those basketball players who have to go to school there, because as soon as you walk into anywhere, I mean, there are some basketball players where as soon as they walk in and they're just going out and hanging out with friends in the off season or whatnot, eyes immediately shoot toward them. And I'm sure that I've never been the type of guy to go up and be like, oh my God, but there are some people who do that. And it definitely is a different sort of lifestyle. And it's the same thing with coaches. If you're a known coach in that football program and you walk in, eyes immediately dart toward you, If
you happen to be hanging out at establishments in South Lincoln, eyes go toward you. People know that's where to find you.
Yeah. I read between the lines there. But yeah, I mean, it's
the warmer side.
Hey,
first off,
previous staff liked that place.
Oh, yeah.
Is that place still around?
I don't know.
Nice little cocktail place. I'm not going to give out the name because
sure, no free publicity.
People will go there and you might find a current football coach that's sitting in there at 2 p.m. in the off season.
But no, it's not only is it the weather, but I don't know. Is like for Eckler, right, in Knoxville, when he goes to a bar in Knoxville, he goes out to a restaurant in Knoxville, are there immediately people who go, that's Mike Eckler? That's the special teams coordinator. That's the dude who's running Tennessee's third unit.
Maybe
because if
he has the personality.
Knoxville's a little bit larger than we think.
It is,
but and Tennessee fans are passionate.
But it happens in Lincoln. Like I'm sure anytime Ed Foley walked into a restaurant, and now he's a more recognizable guy because of the bald head. But like I'm sure there were people who are like, that's Ed Foley. Like that's the special teams coordinator. He's not doing a very good job, right? Like
he loves a chicken fried steak.
It's a little different. It's a little different around here. And I get it. It's not, I totally agree with you. I mean, look, the most important people in the state of Nebraska is probably number 1, the governor, number 2, the head coach of Nebraska football, and number 3, the starting quarterback in Nebraska.
Backup quarterback. Backup quarterback. No. Jalen Gramstad will be extremely popular. The backup quarterback in Nebraska is always really, really popular.
Yeah.
That's Ed Foley's still on the website.
I think it'll be, and Jay talked about it yesterday. It was a great interview from Jay Moore. Check it out on the podcast page.
It's there.
I totally agree with him in the regards that he believed it would be an advantage for them to have Ed Foley around as like a football confidant and as an analyst and someone just around the building and still as an ambassador to Nebraska high school athletics from the football program. Just not the special teams coordinator. I think that's a good thing.
What do they have Mosey, who, by the way, is one of the better additions for Matt Rule. He's out on the trail. Like, hey, your kid is at Nebraska. If you want your kid to have a good experience and win, go get us some players. What do they list him as? A senior football assistant. That's a good gig. Man, that's a really, really good addition to Nebraska's staff because he's not just the Kansas City guy. I noticed they have him in other places in the country because he's a very, I don't know if you've had any interaction with him.
I haven't. I haven't had the pleasure.
Briefly, you can tell right away why he was successful at the high school he was in Kansas City because he's one of those guys that has, and I love meeting people. He's one of those guys that has a quick, like you feel comfortable around him, and he's very conversational. So I can see why in this world he'd be an exceptional recruiter. But the fact that they've like, hey, we know what you can do in Kansas City. We're starting to hand out some locks where you got control and everybody, but they're moving him around the country because I think he's in Houston right now.
I think I saw. Yeah,
and I don't know that's
wasn't he in
that's
Florida?
Not his
was he not? He was
Yeah.
in Florida too, right?
He might be your like national recruiting guy.
Man, he's done a heck of a job if that's the role he's going to get. I'll say this too, like, so I've talked to many of the guys. Well, actually, now with the current staff, I haven't talked to many of you guys on the current staff, but the previous regime of a lot of the assistant coaches, I've had interactions with them, personal conversations with them, and there were some of them you could tell, like, oh, they're a football coach, like they coach football, and obviously, they have to recruit, but they're there to coach football. And there are some guys where it was clear not only they're a football coach, but they're really easy dudes to talk to. You feel comfortable with them. You can see why, when you get to talking about football, why recruits would want to go and play for that guy. One of those dudes that I had a feel for that immediately was Rob Dvorak. I had an incredible conversation with him just about football, about life, things going on in my life, things going on in his life and whatnot. He's in Kansas City as well. He's their Kansas City recruiter. He's the one in that area along with Jamar Mosey. So it doesn't surprise me with those two, with Mosey, who you've talked to, who, you said is a easy, comfortable guy to talk to. Dvorak's kind of the same way. And so with those two kind of heading that area of Kansas City and high school recruiting, it doesn't really, really well there.
All right, quick break. We'll come back with more Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple in the next hour. Again, Nebraska got Eli Pritchett yesterday. Alabama cranks out off. No, I'm not going to go there.
They got to develop him.
They got to work on his technique.
Yes. But he's a dude. He's a 5-star. He's got the body. He's got the length. He's got it. He's got it. You couldn't sell it. You couldn't trade it, baby. You are it.
Does he play as a 5-star in college?
No, but I'm just saying, he's got the body. He's got the athleticism. He has 6'6",
327, has slow getting out of his stance.
He's got the tools. He's just Donnie's got to get to him.
Would you take a New Mexico State guy over an Alabama guy at tackle?
I'd take them both.
That wasn't the question. We'll talk to Sip more on Nebraska's portal activity, because it looks like today wide receiver and defensive back will join. Nebraska will be up to 17 portal additions. Do the math. Spring football is going to be Survivor Island for wide receivers and DBs.
Yep.
Also, Brian Edwards on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, this week's Zone Deal is to Copal Mexican Cuisine. We had them for our little Christmas thing here. I'll tell you, they're good. At 129th and Maple, it's Omaha's best kept secret with weekend brunch on both Saturdays and Sundays. I like brunch. I like weekends. Sunday fun day with all-day happy hour on Sundays. In this deal, you'll receive two $25 vouchers, a $50 value for just $25. Get all the details now, 1620thezone.com.
All right, Matt writes into the Equitable Bank inbox, Gary at 1620thezone.com. Special teams coach, why not buy? Here we go. This is another day that ends in Y. No offense to Matt, but he's a very popular guy. Why not buy LeVar Woods, the special teams coach at Iowa? They have the best punters and kickers every year and the Jet Award winner this year. Give him $1 million per year. He's from Ohio, grew up in the Midwest. Lincoln is a good place.
Gonna have to pay more.
Yeah, is LeVar also set to be the next head coach of Nebraska football? Because that's probably what's going to happen in Iowa. I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
That would be. I mean, it's a good shot.
That would be a good. That would be a good
nicely.
hire at Iowa for LeVar Woods. He's fantastic at what he does. But Nebraska is kicking the tires again with special teams coaches. It's a little bit quieter if you're only if you're not named Mike Eckler or Bill Bush.
Yeah.
But it probably will be. I think there's activity, but who knows how quickly the pace is going. So tonight, Notre Dame, Penn State. Tomorrow night, Texas, Ohio State. This might be a one-sided question because of where we reside. Most likable, least likable of the four football programs. Remember, ESPN. ESPN's going to have TV rating numbers that are going to look like a phone number. They've got the Blue Bloods. 4 of the top 7 winningest programs are playing in the Final Four tonight and tomorrow night. Most likable of the 4 that are left, least likable of the 4 that is left. I understand asking this question in Nebraska with some pure hate for the New York Yankees of college athletics might be one-sided.
That's right, ABT.
I couldn't tell you who's the most likable because I think there's a case for the 3 other teams. So obviously Texas is the least likable. The most likable, though, I think that people are gallivanting around Ryan Day because of the unfair narrative that he isn't a good football coach that was born on third base who hit a triple or who thought he hit a triple. And I think that because of the SEC bias and everything like that, they want to see him rally the troops and win, and they've been playing great football. I think the same sentiment can be said for James Franklin. Can Penn State finally get over the hump? It's nice to see. Okay. So
Can James Franklin make Penn State likable? I think Notre Dame is the most likable because of their head coach.
Right. So that's my next one. Marcus Freeman is by far the most likable head coach. I mean, it's pretty. The brand, man.
And the crappy Rudy movie aside.
It's the Golden
Dome. He was offsides.
But James Franklin, 0-12 in their last 12 matchups against top 5 teams. Okay, they're historic. Since James Franklin's been the coach, they're
good.
They're 1-13 overall. They're 15-27 against ranked opponents. But if you were to take away their top 5, their top 5 games, they'd actually be 14-13 against ranked opponents. Now, here's another thing too. Well, I'll save the stat for later in the show. But James Franklin and them not being able to get over the hump has made them likable. But I think Marcus Freeman and his story and his tradition and what he's done at Notre Dame has made them the most likable team.
Yeah, you're going to have to admit it.
I'm admitting it. I don't like them, but they are.
Of the 4.
They are. But isn't it rare that Ohio State and Penn State, they are pretty likable with just the stories around them.
How is Penn State likable?
I think just for
James
me,
Franklin to me can't make Penn State likable. The only thing that can save him is Tyler Warren.
I just want to see James Franklin get over the hump. I feel bad for the guy. I have a little bit of pity likeness for him because he's just come up so close so many times that I like the underdog. My grandfather bet against my great grandfather bet against Secretariat in all 3 races. I once
bet against the 94 Sonics.
I've always been an underdog guy. I've always been Hey, I'm a Cubs fan, man.
Hey, I look at a little tidbit here about Marcus Freeman. This is from Teddy Rizak, who him and Anthony, the twins, are on the Notre Dame roster. The whole family. I mean, DJ is living his his best life. They go from New Orleans to Miami, and they might stay in the South for the national championship game. But this is what Teddy said about Marcus Freeman. And they love Al Golden as well, his defensive coordinator, who was the primary recruiter of the Rezacs when they were at Westside. He said,
Good
they're
coach.
great guys, love people. They also suffer no fools. They ain't got time for anyone that's not on the same mission.
Wow.
I think Notre Dame is the most likable. Now, the least likable, this isn't even worth it.
No.
But is there Texas hate still here, even though Nebraska and Texas haven't been around each other for almost 15 years now?
It's almost a fault.
I mean, I will never get over
Seems like a
the
poll
brief
question.
time in the Big 12, and what happened on Red Out the World Day.
Yeah.
But mine is most likable, Notre Dame, and by a wide margin. Least likable will always be Texas, the New York Yankees, the evil empire of college athletics.
By far. It's going to be a little bit like as a Blackhawks fan.
What if we get that as the final?
What? Ohio, Notre Dame, Texas,
Notre
or
Dame,
Ohio?
Notre Dame, Texas.
Shoot. I don't know who I would want to win.
Well, just like in the 78 Cotton Bowl, I guess I'll have to go with Notre Dame.
I don't know who.
Shut down Earl Campbell.
Joe Montana coming back?
Oh, absolutely.
Notre Dame
Vegas
is the most
Ferguson?
likable team by far. I actually learned the other day. So they used to have that mass before every game. Notre Dame did, and then Brian Kelly kind of stopped doing that, and Marcus Freeman
Whoa.
immediately goes.
What do you mean? He stopped to have they don't have the morning mass before a Notre
They
Dame game?
didn't used to.
Brian
Brian
Kelly
Kelly
hates
stopped
church.
it. They stopped doing it before every game. He stripped that away, and then Freeman, as soon as he got, I
How do
learned
you-
this yesterday.
How do you get away with that?
He did kill a
That's
kid.
like, well, I understand how you get away with that. But that's like a tradition.
I know.
that
Yeah.
Newt Rockne had.
I saw it
That's
yesterday on
wild.
Instagram. Let me make sure that I don't want to.
That's not cool.
Yeah, Brian Kelly got rid of Notre Dame's pregame mass, and
Was there a reason behind it?
Couldn't stand Father Kavanaugh in the movie.
Let me read this.
Seemed like a good man.
I didn't get that joke. I'm looking this up. Yeah, it's all these Notre Dame insider. Marcus Freeman brings back pregame mass for Notre Dame. This was in 2022. So Brian Kelly took it away for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a reason stated in this article, but I saw it yesterday on Instagram that the first thing that Freeman did when he came in
I
as
don't
a
know.
head coach was brought it back.
Maybe he felt like they got the Catholics scared out of him against Alabama in the national championship game. He thought, oh, it's not even worth it. Man, we were praying and praying and praying, and God didn't help us out against Alabama. God must have been a Roll Tide fan that day.
I'll never forget Notre Dame Day at my Catholic public school. Everyone was allowed to wear Notre Dame gear. I showed up in my uniform. I go, I'm not gonna. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not taking
No,
a
it's
free
business.
out of
You're there to
uniform
learn.
day. No, I wasn't there to learn. Not at Queen of All Saints elementary school, but I did not participate in
Went
Notre
full
Dame
trestle.
Day. Screw that.
The only thing that could save Texas in this discussion is I kind of like Sark.
I respect Sark.
I mean, I think Penn State and Texas are in the running for the least likable of the four that are left.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. I just I love the movie Seabiscuit, and James Franklin's like just the Seabiscuit of college football coaches right now. I mean, he's just been beat down and hasn't been able to win, and he's like the jockey without the left eye, and he blows a race, and it's just blows big games. Like, I just want to see him win. I want to see Seabiscuit, beat War Admiral. I want to see James Franklin in the national championship, and I want to see him beat Ohio State.
Can never root for Penn State.
Do
I used
not
to
like
work with
the
kids.
you're not feeling my horse analogies right now.
I don't know. I'm thinking about my time that I spent with Affirmed.
Good one. That was a good one.
Sarah Baker Hansen will stop by next. We'll ask her what is the least and most least likable and most likable food item.
Ooh,
No.
we should. That'd be a good question.
That you can save that for her.
Okay.
No.
Are you vetoing
Yeah.
a potential question from me?
Again, the national championship game tonight. Not
Whoa,
excuse me.
whoa!
I've already fast forwarded. One of the first semifinals, Notre Dame and Penn State. Which game is Fowler and Herbstreit doing? Texas, Ohio State, or are they doing tonight?
I think they're doing tomorrow.
Is game day going to do 2 straight days?
No clue. Haven't really kept up with the ESPN programming schedule, if I'm being honest with you.
Stephen A. Smith, LeBron, and the Cowboys. There, you're good.
People are chiming in. Penn State might be more, to the Nebraska fan, unlikable compared to Texas.
Really?
Oh, memories of the 80s.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And then there was that day that they spit on Richie Incognito, and I thought we were going to go to jail underneath the stadium after a 40-7 loss. But it happened. Then Pat Smith arrived and kicked a field goal in horrible weather to win in overtime.
Yeah.
Sarah Baker Hansen next. All right, for the first time this year, let's talk a little food. Let's welcome in our good friend, Sarah Baker Hansen, who joins us. Happy New Year. We'll violate the Larry David rule to welcome you back. So happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Not only did he violate the Larry David rule, Sarah, he violated his own rule. I mean, he went on a tangent the other day about how we don't do it after January 7th, but you must be a very, very special human for Gary. I've never seen Gary do that before.
I guess I'll consider it an honor.
Absolutely. I would.
Okay, so now that we're into 2025, and I think everybody is trying in the food business, the restaurant business, they're trying to find the next best thing. And you've talked about it, and I've started to see as we look at trends in 2025. Do you want to make a bold proclamation or a guess what will be like the next trend in the food restaurant world, whether it be globally, nationally, or locally? Do you think that will be, when we talk 11 months from now, will we still be talking about in 2025?
Wow, you guys really are catching me off guard at 8:05 on a Thursday with my
I
biggest
apologize.
prediction for the year.
We're going to
You
put it
could've
on the
sent me
board.
that one on the text yesterday. I don't know. I haven't really seen very many posts about food trends lately.
Okay.
I have seen a lot of people. Yesterday I was looking at social media and there was a story about restaurants in New York that had opened under, a couple restaurants in New York that had opened under great fanfare in 2024 and had already closed. And God, I hope that's not a trend. But I have seen a lot of sort of personal essays, kind of, I don't know, reappearing about just, the ongoing challenges of the industry and just how tough it remains to be able to run a restaurant. And so, I think that is going to be maybe an ongoing conversation, but that's not, a very fun one. Like, I wish I could say, kale or something, but I don't know. I haven't really seen any sort of like hot ingredient trends that we used to see, other than I am continuing to be bombarded on my social media and my TikTok by cottage cheese. I don't know if you are seeing.
Oh, no. I've been seeing this too.
Cheese.
Because everybody's on a health kick. Do you not know this, Gary?
Mm-hmm.
So healthy foods and like Instagram and Twitter and everything is like a really big deal. And people are putting like different recipes to make. And cottage cheese is very protein dense.
Yeah.
And so everybody's putting cottage cheese and like they're using it like as a substitute for like cream cheese or regular cheese in order to get more protein. It's a big trend right now. It's a great point from you, Sarah.
And thank you so much. Blending cottage cheese. I've seen tons of people like making it into pasta sauce and salad dressing and hiding it in things like meatballs and, wherever someone who's a recipe developer at this moment can stuff some cottage cheese into a recipe, I feel like they're doing it.
Honestly, I feel like the trend is like you just want to people are trying to put as much protein in meals nowadays. Like that's just kind of like the name of the game at this point.
Protein has become a big conversation thing about, not so much at restaurants, but definitely within, cooking and recipe developing. Maybe it's just because it's January and like you said, people are trying to be healthy, but I saw it long before January. I was seeing it, last summer. And I actually did try to make one thing with cottage cheese that was a complete and utter failure, which was cottage cheese ice cream. Did you see it?
Yes.
No.
It was really, really bad.
No bueno.
Don't try to make that.
I'm a part of a cottage cheese family. Now I think we defeat the purpose of the healthiness of cottage cheese because we put Thousand Island dressing on top of it, which probably adds
Thousand Island on top of cottage cheese.
Yeah, put a little.
Wow.
It's great. And I'm telling you right now, just give it a try. A bowl of cottage cheese, a dollop of Thousand Island. It's been Western dressing works as well if you're more of a Western person. No, it's a McMaster family staple. I'm telling you right now, this might be my bad food take on 1620. This might be my first one, but I love cottage cheese. I've been eating it for a very long time. Here, let's actually move into kind of stay on the same topic here. In terms of, we're talking about health, right? We're talking about protein. We're talking about the trends we're seeing on social media. Do you think that might be an avenue we'll start seeing restaurants or maybe businesses take where they start trying to push a more healthier meal or a more protein-rich meal for people in order to entice them to say, hey, you can come here and eat good food, but you're also going to be hitting your macros and your nutrients and really try and hit this trend of health that we've been seeing?
I think I saw recently that the Grove Juicery, the juice bar that has a couple locations now, I think, was opening another location in West Omaha. And I've seen, sort of like just healthier options at places. I've also seen in sort of the fast casual world of things, like I was talking to Matthew the other day about how Subway has like completely abandoned any like modicum of health.
Yeah.
Like they have gone the total opposite way with their sandwiches. So it's kind of interesting. I do think that we could see more healthy options. There was a restaurant that opened downtown last year called Eat Fit Go,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be healthy, and that isn't around. And then there was another, and anymore. And then there was another one that opened earlier this year called what was it called? Fit. It was a something kitchen downtown, and it was also sort of a healthy grab and go place. And it has also closed. And so it's interesting to see, maybe people want to eat healthy at home, and then they want their cheat meal at the restaurant. So they're just going to blend a ton of cottage cheese at home and then go, eat pork belly on the weekends.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like most of the trends I see are about healthier food or protein, are much more people cooking it at home.
Hey, you brought up, and we talked about this last year, because we unfortunately went through a quick cycle in Omaha where there were restaurants closing, whether they would be ones that just popped up or some of our longtime staples that have been family owned. Maybe mom and dad want to retire. There's no one to turn the restaurant over, so they shut it down. So we saw that trend. If your experience, and let's go with new restaurants, because as Omaha expands out in West Omaha, you're seeing more and more places that are starting to open that aren't like our new concepts here. What's the window if you know a restaurant is going to pop or not? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it the first year?
When I'm doing my restaurant reviews, I never visit a restaurant before it's been open for at least 1 month. And I feel like, we've definitely seen, like you were saying, some new restaurants, chef-driven restaurants opening in West Omaha. And I think that's really interesting because, there have been so many, people have said for such a long time, like, there's so many chain restaurants in West Omaha. Why aren't there restaurants like, the ones in the old market? And now we're starting to see that happening with, Salted Edge, I think, is a really good example of that. But back to the old market, or when a restaurant's going to pop off, I feel like Cleo in the old market is a really good example of, a concept that opened and that was just immediately like super hot. People were literally like lining up, making reservations weeks and months in advance to go there, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think you can just, there's something about, I don't exactly know what that magical equation is, but certainly you can tell almost right away when the place is going to be hot. And I think, Saddle Creek Breakfast Club, historically, I can think of it as another place that just instantly was hot and everyone was talking about it. And I also think when Salted Edge opened, I mean, like I wrote in my review that it was quite a while ago now, but that breadboard like completely took over my social media. Like every time I would open Facebook, there was a picture of it on one of the, food groups in Omaha. And so I do think, there can be a dish, or there can be an idea or a concept that isn't anywhere else in Omaha. And I think Saddle Creek Breakfast Club certainly was trying to do something different for brunch on the weekend. And I think Cleo, higher end Mediterranean food. And, I guess if we're, want to tie these two conversations together, a lot of the dishes on the menu at Cleo are a little bit healthier. Like if you think about those dips that you can get with crudité, vegetables, driven dishes, little bit less heavy of food, perhaps that's one of the reasons why it did take off when it did. But also I think it was just incredibly cool. So people like that.
Sarah, I feel, and I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody, but for at least me and my family, I remember that when, the calendar would turn, we as a family, my mom, my dad, they'd kind of talk about, hey, what are some of the restaurants that we didn't go to enough last year? Or what are some of the restaurants that were maybe open last year that we haven't gone to? Or maybe what's a restaurant that everybody talks about and we haven't gone there yet? Do you, I want to ask you, do you have a list of restaurants that you're thinking of that maybe you haven't hit yet, or maybe you haven't eaten at in a while that you're thinking, okay, 2025, this is the year where I'm going to make sure I'm going to prioritize eating there and going there?
When I had my end of year list that came out, in December, I thought about, I did 2 of them this year, and it was really interesting. But I did sort of the top 5 new-ish restaurants, and then I did 5 honorable mentions of restaurants that had all opened since 2020. And it was really interesting to see how that list took off and how, I mean, I've been to all the restaurants on the list because it's part of my job to go to restaurants. So there are very few that I probably would say I haven't checked out yet.
Sure.
But it is always really interesting to me, the kind of like chatter that happens on social media around those lists. And people say exactly what you're saying, which is, you know, oh, I haven't been to Memoir yet. I really want to check it out. Or, oh, I haven't been to Lyle's Pizzeria on 50th and Leavenworth, but I've heard so much about it. And, you know, I've spoken with people who even just recently had never been to Koji in Countryside Village or even heard of it. And so I do think that there are a lot of new restaurants that have opened in the past 5 years. And, you know, maybe not the old school joints that you return to again and again, but certainly, you know, it takes a little while for some of those restaurants to catch on.
Sure.
There is one restaurant that I am excited to check out that I have not been to yet, which is Ruhlman's Steakhouse in Ashland.
Oh, Ruhlman's?
Have you heard of that one?
Ruhlman's?
Yeah, Ruhlman's.
Okay. How do you spell that?
RUHLMAN''S.
Okay. I'm just saying it could be RULE. You never know. I just gotta make I want to
right.
I want to make sure the listener knows what
Hold on, I have my computer right.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I spelled it right.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah. It's I've heard a couple people who have been to it. I have not visited. But I mean, talk about it interesting. Like, it is, you know, a locally owned steak-driven steakhouse in Ashland. And just heard a lot of chatter about it. Want to go check it out. Don't know much more about it than I've just told you because, like I said, I see things and then I, on purpose, don't research them until I can go there because I want to like make my own, you know, come up with my own ideas about it. But that is a place that I have not been to that opened in 2024. So there, I thought of one with help from Matthew. I will admit he helped me think of one. He's right here.
Hey, so this is a question from a listener, and they first preface by saying, I am relatively new to Omaha. I do enjoy Sarah's comments, and I follow her on social media. I'm new to Omaha. Help me with the concept. And so I'm guessing that this listener has been to Jams and Pitch, if what they're talking about. Is this something that is just an Omaha thing? But the community table, he said, I went to Pitch and we went there with 3 other people and I shared a table with 4 other strangers. And he said, is that just
non-hibachi? This is a non.
No.
Okay.
And he says, is this just, he goes, again, I'm new to Omaha. Is this just an Omaha thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I've sat at a lot of community tables in other cities. I can think of dining experiences I've had in Chicago where I sat at a community table. I can think of times in New York where I've sat at one. And I think you see them a lot at for example, like at food halls, there's a lot of community tables. I've seen it at, if you've ever been to Italy, the kind of Italian food / restaurant, I don't know what to call it, compound. There's one in Chicago and another one in New York. They have a lot of community seating. And so I don't know. I always think it gives a little bit more of a kind of a casual feel. A lot of times the community seating that I've sat at, as it is at Pitch for sure, is like a high top table, kind of off of the bar area or off of the kitchen area. I personally like it. I've seen it in other places, but I don't see it a ton of places in Omaha, but certainly some places do have it. And I don't ever mind it. I know some people really don't like it. But I don't mind it at all.
It's also like a Wisconsin bar thing too. If you ever go to like a Wisconsin sports bar, and that might not be your forte, Sarah. But like there's a lot of really big tables. Where it's very clear that okay, we're gonna have to buddy up here and we're gonna have to make friends, even if we're not rooting for the same team. But no, I have been to sports bars in Wisconsin, and I have eaten cheese curds in Wisconsin. It's the best. I mean, cheese curds in Wisconsin are one of one. I mean, it's some of my favorite stuff. Now, Sarah,
they are the best cheese curds I've ever had.
By far, bar none. Yeah. So you'll come to know as you come on the show more, we'll get to know each other better. But I am a gambling man, and I am someone I like to make bets with my friends, and oftentimes the bets are lunch. Like, let's have lunch. I've already lost a lunch bet to Mr. Gary Sharp. We already know where we're going, so we've already got that settled. But I want your opinion here. So when I make a bet, hey, lunch. If I win, we're gonna go here or whatever. I want to take people to a place where, it's gonna be. I don't want to just take them to Five Guys, right? I want to take them to a nice local establishment, but I don't also really want to like break the bank, obviously too. I don't want this to be a massive, massive bet. So give me a couple places maybe where I could put my eyes on when I make my gambling bets with people over who's going to win certain football games. Where am I going to take people to lunch?
Okay, well, I'll give you one nicer one and one a little more casual.
Okay,
one.
Beautiful.
So I had a lunch it was sort of a business lunch, but also with a friend recently at Le Bouillon in the Old Market. And we kind of shared some small plates, but I had a cup of their French onion soup, which I think is totally underrated. Nobody ever talks about it.
It's my favorite soup, Sarah.
It's so good. And it's based on that. Le Bouillon is if longtime Omaha people will know, it's in the same spot as the French Cafe, and they actually use the French Cafe's recipe for their French onion soup. So it's kind of got, Omaha roots. So I would really recommend that. We also, we shared the cassoulet, which is super hearty kind of bean and sausage and duck dish they do a really nice job of it. It's another thing that you don't see very many places in Omaha. So kind of a shout out for a little bit of an unusual place, but that is open for lunch and actually a really nice atmosphere. So if you want to be a little bougie, you can do that.
Two things.
She's got a more casual place, Gare. Okay. She's got one more place.
No, you can ask your question.
What's the name of it? You don't have to do a full detailed thing of it, but what's the other place you're thinking of? I need this. I need ammo.
The other place that I'm thinking of?
Yes.
The other place that I'm thinking of is Everett on Maple.
Okay.
Oh, bam.
Have you been there before?
No, I've never. No, I haven't.
And I know you like it. That is a very sneaky place that is fantastic. Do not judge from the outside.
Will do.
No,
great to know.
It doesn't have a lot of curb appeal. I would agree, but it's small and intimate, and the people who run it are really nice. And I think that they may perhaps, in my opinion, have the best chicken wings in all of Omaha.
I'm nodding in agreement. All right,
that's my hot take for today.
Beautiful.
All right, now that we start 2025, what are some big projects you have upcoming that people can find out about?
Well, it's funny you would ask. I have been teasing a project that is going to be launching. I've been teasing it on your show probably for like 6 months. So the project is going to be called Steaktown USA. And it's going to be a year-long series that I'm going to write for the Flatwater Free Press. So every month for the next year, I'm going to be doing a review of an Omaha steakhouse. And I am then also going to do kind of travel around Nebraska a little bit and do 4 feature stories about iconic steakhouses across Nebraska.
Oh, fantastic.
Love it. That's awesome.
Hey, it's launching on January 23rd, so that's when the first story is going to come out. And if your listeners want to follow along, they can go to flatwaterfreepress.org and they can click subscribe and they can sign up for the Thursday newsletter.
Bam.
Which, if they don't get that already, it's the Omaha newsletter. But all the stories will be featured in that newsletter and on Flatwater Free Press, and also on my website, sarahbakerhansen.com. We're super excited. And we have we're doing some other things around this project that I have never seen done before, things I've wanted to do for a long time. And I'm super excited about it. We've been working on it for a long time. And it's rolling out soon. So I have a lot of work to do.
Can't wait to
it's going to be really fun.
Read it. Sarah, as always, Happy New Year. Welcome back. We'll talk in 2 weeks when that debuts.
Sounds great. Talk to you then.
That's Sarah Baker Hansen.
Awesome, man.
Our local foodie. So one of the steakhouses, Legacy Chop House, which went into the old Jams out at 170th and West Center, recently went there for dinner with a bunch of buddies.
Sure.
And it is, so this is where your mind is blown. The former manager at the Drover is running this steakhouse.
Yeah.
And it's a high-end steakhouse, and it was packed the night we were in there. They got a salad bar just like the Drover. I was blown away because I didn't realize that Daryl Lisey runs it. So Daryl Lisey was a tight end at Nebraska back in the early 90s.
Okay.
And I went, so the person that was waiting on us, they were explaining the concept, and they're like, "Yeah, Daryl Lisey, who was the former manager at the Drover, is out here." I'm like, "Daryl Lisey, he happened to play football at Nebraska?" And they're like, "Yeah, he did."
That's awesome.
So there you go. Well, Jimmy, and our next bet. So we're already going to one steakhouse for lunch.
We are. Can't wait. It'll be fun.
The second steakhouse, maybe we'll go to Legacy Chop House.
I like that. Now, the steakhouses that we go to in Omaha, and I'm prepared for this.
Why don't we just do that the whole time? Why don't we just have bets, and every time that you lose, we go to steakhouse?
Yes.
When we win, we'll go to like Five Guys because that's more your style.
Absolutely.
Get a lettuce wrap.
These are the restaurants that's where you got to be nicely dressed, right? Like I got to be pretty.
Wear pants.
Well, I'm only. Dude, have you
Oh,
seen my
that's
legs?
right.
Have you seen my hairy
discussed
legs?
Like, what do you mean? No, like how you're dressed now. You could go to the Drover, for example, and you would be fine. You see people that are dressed up that are on work, or they're like very cash. They're retired. They come in there.
I don't mean
t-shirt and a tie.
I don't mean to sound like uppity or anything like that, but if we go to a nice steakhouse, I'm gonna at least be wearing a polo. It's one of those things
That's
too.
fine.
Like when I
that's
golf,
cool.
I can't wear anything but a polo. Like that's just kind of just how my dad does it. But I didn't know if it was like you have to. Like you have to wear nice clothes.
No, I don't think there's a dress code at the
Sorry,
Drover.
Rick. House rules.
Casio's, you go there. There's no dress code.
Yeah, I was just getting the lay
Wear
of the
what you
land.
want to wear.
Mm.
But now, Legacy Chop House, the clientele appeared to be everybody was,
Oh yeah. Well, there's a
dressed
certain
up.
sign of
Wear your
respect.
finest
you
smock.
want it's good food.
I think
You
I
wanna
might
look
even
nice.
worn khakis. I can't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
I only have one pair of khakis. I need to up that.
Okay. Harbaugh. Coming up here in a little bit, Steve Sipple will join us. Boy, a lot of people dislike James Franklin. James Franklin is making Texas likable.
Maybe I'm in the minority. I just want to see a guy who loses a lot win. I see myself.
Those of us
in
remember
James-
2011. We can't root for Penn State.
Yeah.
He's been through enough. The guy's lost enough.
Circle back to me on November 22nd.
Fair enough. Oh,
Nebraska goes to State College.
And that could be a really big game for a multitude of reasons. For a lot of reasons.
I wonder how many Nebraska fans will travel out there because the stadium's kind of a dump. They are putting $700 million into it.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get to. I haven't had the greatest experience
just
out there.
knocked down the press box, right?
But that game better mean something on November 22nd.
Dadgum better.
All right. Sips coming up before we're done in the hour. Still ahead, Brian Edwards as well on 1620 The Zone. John writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. He goes, I love cottage cheese and will eat it as a snack.
Yep. Me too, John.
That's the
But
only thing.
Thousand Island dressing on it. Matt is going to fit right in with his horrible food takes. Welcome to the zone.
All right, Matt. Let's go.
It's nice, man. It gets a little.
It's an honor.
I'm getting some text messages right now. We're currently, the McMaster family's currently booking their Minnesota summer vacation fishing trip right now.
And they heard your bad food take and they're like, you know what?
Maybe he needs a vacation.
You know what? At some point, you have to cut the cord and move out of the house.
Yeah, I had to have that long talk with Mom the other day.
I'm surprised, actually, your mom did not move to Omaha with you.
Me too, man.
That was on the 1620 of the zone message boards. That was the discussion.
Yeah. Was that a poll question? Will Matt's mom move in with him to Omaha?
Still could, but we have one today. So
yeah, no, we were talking, and I was talking about the next time I was gonna come into town, and she goes, "Well, that's only 4 days," and I go, "Mom, I don't mean to be rude or anything like that. I love you. From here on out, from probably the foreseeable future, most of these visits are going to be 3 to 4 days. They're going to be pretty quick. Like I work a job now, like a 40-hour-a-week job, and the disappointment on her face. I know when my mom is sad when she doesn't answer the comment or the question. She just moves on to a different topic.
Oh,
this is tough.
What people don't know is that Matt is 38 years old.
No, I'm 22.
He looks good.
Yeah,
22. But my brother, he, I don't know, it was a little different. Like it wasn't as poignant with him. I don't know. My brother gets away with so much more than I do. I mean, that guy can walk on water. He can do whatever he wants.
Is he older or younger?
He's 4 years older. He was like, it was weird. It's weird. Like I'm the middle child, and so there's.
So you are a don't give up.
Yeah.
No,
you're like Jan Brady.
That's how you should be.
Yeah, like I've always kind of
people give up on their middle child. They're like, yeah, we tried.
Well,
that's why we had to get it like the next one.
Well, the thing is,
like, man, we can't have that be the last, the last legacy,
the last hope.
That can't be the last song we listen to.
Well, the thing is too is that my mother and father were both middle children, and so they did feel a little neglected within their family. So they made it a point to not do that with me. They didn't want me to be the middle child that they were.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little unique in that. Now I still am a bit of a black cat in terms of, intelligence and how we act and everything like that. I'm very much different from
stuff. Yeah.
No, I haven't been arrested. That's the one thing. My mom did tell me, she goes, Matt, you went 22 years without being arrested. I'm pretty impressed. Knock on wood.
She's moving, Jimmy. She's moving to Omaha. Isn't she?
All right.
She is.
There's a chair for.
She can drive you to work in the morning.
Breakfast.
Dude, driving to work.
She can join us for lunch.
I honestly think it was a little bit easier for me to get to work in the morning when I woke up at 4 as opposed to waking up at like 4:45.
You live closer to the radio station.
Why. Here's why, though. Here's why. I would only get like anywhere from like 4 to 5 hours of sleep, right? When I was in Lincoln. Because my clock, man, I go to bed at 11. I can't really help it. It's really hard for me to go to bed any earlier than that. Now that I'm going to bed at 11 and I'm waking up closer to 4:45, I'm getting into like the REM cycle where it's like harder to wake up and you're more groggy in the morning because you're going into deeper sleep. And then once you're going into deeper sleep and you get pulled out, it's harder to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
When I was sleeping in Lincoln, I wasn't in that deep sleep phase yet. So I would just get up and I would be fine. I'd have energy. Now I wake up and I'm like way more groggier than before because
you're like mid-dream.
I'm having more sleep. Yeah.
Nebraska's in the Final Four. They're about to tip the ball, and then you wake up and you're just like, damn.
You gotten lost driving to the station?
No, I just take a right on a street and I'm there.
Oh, that's right. You're straight Dodge.
I'm straight Dodge.
All the lights.
I pull in the lady at Dundee Double Shot is getting to know me now, and I've been pulling up to the window.
Did you get a punch card?
I do have a punch card.
Okay,
I have 4 punches right now. Only $2 off though. I don't know.
It's better than no $.
I feel like if I buy 10 coffees, I should get a free coffee, not $2 off of my $3 coffee. You feel me?
I mean,
am I asking for too much?
They need to
here?
put food on the table too.
I'm with you. I went to a place where they said, "Do you have a punch card?" Rach pulled out a punch card, and they're like, "No, that's not for here." So they gave her one for that location. I'm like,
whoa. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's not for here?
Yeah, the lady behind the counter said, "Oh, that's for the other location."
No way.
And
no.
So we'll give you this punch card.
BS.
Yeah.
Do you know what I would have done?
Punch the punch card she showed him.
Do you know what I would have done? We'll give you this punch card. I go, you know what?
Tantrum.
You keep that. You keep that. I'll go to the other one.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's.
I don't think we're in a position to negotiate. We just want to get the heck out of there.
Fair enough.
But yeah, they said, no, that punch card is for the other location. I'm like, you're all the same
Brand.
company.
What are we doing here?
Oh.
I've never heard of that before.
It's a
It's almost
national
as if like
company.
you
It's
try and
McDonald's.
scan your like Starbucks rewards points.
Yeah.
They're like, no. You got points for each separate location. Heck out of here, dude.
All
Heck out of here.
Sip's coming up next on 1620 The Zone. Some Donna Summer for Steve Sipple from on3.com, Husker Online, and 93.7 The Ticket. Hello, Sip.
What's that Donna Summer song? I can't hear the music this time.
It's
We'll turn it up for you. I don't know.
I
Feel
feel
Love.
love.
Which would get you canceled now?
Or is it Love to Love You Baby? Is that what that is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of her
Yeah,
songs.
that song's
But
very
this,
suggestive.
yeah.
It's very suggestive.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're playing it.
Like, okay, so I'm going to rattle off some Donna Summer songs. You tell me yay or nay. She Works Hard for the Money.
Yay.
Last Dance.
Interesting song. What?
Last Dance.
Yay.
Heaven Knows.
Don't know it.
Okay, that's fair. How about On the Radio? On the radio.
Pretty good.
Okay.
She started to wane a little bit at that time, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
She was 70s. That's 70s. A lot of that 70s. It might be something. It might bleed into the 80s. I think a lot of that 70s.
yeah, that's right in your wheelhouse.
There's no better decade.
Oh, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Could not agree more. I listen to 70s music probably more than any 22-year-old in the country. I love it.
You have an old soul, and that is a we can bond over that for years to come.
Sip, you and I can hold hands and listen to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band any day of the week.
We do not need to hold hands.
You guys could be in the middle of the summer. You'll be out at Pinewood Ball.
No, we'll go
rocking back and forth.
No, Sip. We'll go to Tavern on the Square together. I know the
that?
people who run it, so we'll get the DJ. They'll pull out a speaker and we'll just listen to "Roll Me Away." See, I can't sing. I won't sing it.
Wow, "Roll Me Away." That's a good one.
I love "Roll Me Away." That and Night Moves. Night Moves, I think, is my favorite.
Oh,
Bob Seger.
This is authentic. Good job.
No, this isn't a bit. Sip, this ain't a bit. Bob Seger is my favorite artist. It's my dad's favorite artist as well.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Nice.
A common friend of ours said to ask you, why do you hate Aldi's?
Oh, I don't know. I just get the hives. It's hard. I don't know. It's hard.
Does it start with the fact you got to have a quarter to get the cart?
Oof.
That and the no bag thing. I've got caught on that before. Some of it's just you get a list, and it's sometimes it's hard to find stuff. Sometimes.
It is hard. And I feel like Sip too. I'm right. I'm kind of on the train with you because I feel like with everything being cheap, I get pulled into a vortex of like, oh, it's only $2. I'll buy that, where I don't really need it. I don't really need the lobster dip, right?
A lot of it, right. A lot of it with me is just the list can be very specific, and it's not stuff that I would buy. So yeah, I just don't. I deal with the one at Manawai. It's been hard. I don't even like to think about it. Change the subject.
All right, sticking with the theme of Bob Seger, on a long and lonesome highway east of Omaha, Iowa got a portal quarterback. Nebraska has. How would you describe the not necessarily the 15 that are in the boat out of the portal, but how aggressive Nebraska has been in December and post bowl with visits and commitments in the portal?
Very aggressive, and I think they've done an excellent job. I mean, they could really close what's been a strong sort of, we'll call it portal season, with quite an exclamation point. Getting Elijah Pritchett is good. That's good. That's a good pickup. Getting Shaez Pete here, the tackle from New Mexico State, and with a very good chance to get him.
Mm-hmm.
If you got those two and this kid Jonah Wilson, receiver from Houston, that would be a strong close. I've just been really. They've changed their team. Well, the defense is going to look a lot different, and I think the offense. Well, obviously the offense is going to look a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
But what they've done at receiver to me is borderline remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you give Dana Holgerson a lot of credit there. You give the whole operation credit. Everything from Sean Padden, the general manager, to the NIL folks, and of course the leader Matt Rule. So the team's going to look quite a bit different, and I think it's pretty promising what we're looking at right now.
Sip, I'm sure that you've been watching these college football playoffs here, the quarterfinals, and now we're in the semifinals, the first round. We have 4 teams remaining: Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, and Texas. When you watch these 4 teams play, what is the biggest difference between those teams and where Nebraska is visually for you?
Ooh. I mean, I don't think Nebraska. See, I'm of the mind that Nebraska's not that far off. So I don't. The reason it's probably good that I'm struggling to answer the question. A lot of depth is an obvious answer. Overall depth, I think it depends on now, Matt. That maybe another reason I'm struggling is it kind of depends who you're talking about.
Okay, good point.
With Penn State, for instance, is much better at running back, so it's a different look. You get a much different. That they can really run it, and Nebraska's not. Nebraska can't say that about. Ohio State is sort of otherworldly at the skill positions. You can't say that about Nebraska recently. And Nebraska doesn't have Judkins and Trayvon Henderson, and they don't have Jeremiah Smith. I mean, it's a much different picture there. But if you look at Notre Dame, I don't know. I don't know what makes Notre Dame that much better than Nebraska. It shouldn't be. Probably more physical up front. But again, Nebraska's not. I don't think Nebraska's that far away.
Wow.
So there's not there's some players that they needed to get, but I think they've got them. And so what if Nebraska wins 9 next year, which seems feasible to me?
Mm-hmm.
If you win 9, you're in the hunt.
Yep.
You're in the playoff hunt at that point.
Yeah.
So that's what I guess that's where I'm coming from.
They have a schedule. I know you don't want to do this, and most people don't. But if you just look from the outside, they have a schedule that if you're going to make a run and get to 9 in the Big Ten, that's a schedule that can help you because there's enough games where you're probably going to be a favorite, and there's a couple of games on there that are going to be sexy to people that are going to try and judge your resume.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of it will come down the trouble part of it. The trouble part of the conversation, the challenging part of the conversation is November. Nebraska hasn't been good in November. Mm-hmm. Look at what they've done the last 2 Novembers. They have to change that because the schedule gets really tough in November next year. And if they are going to take a next step, it'll have to be that. It's one reason I was sort of heartened this season that they were able to beat Wisconsin and then win the bowl game. Win the bowl game's in December. I get it, but you got to see Nebraska start playing well late in the season. That's where you make the hay, and that's something next year that I think you watch closely. And unfortunately, the schedule part it gets tougher in November next year. Yeah. You're going to Penn State. I don't have it in front of me, but it's a tough November schedule.
You ever see 29 DBs on a roster before?
Mm.
I don't know that I have. I don't know for sure. Now, Evan Cooper used to say, he said something very pragmatic, and that is, 5 of our guys there's 5 guys in the secondary that constitutes almost half the defense. So there's going to be a lot of them, but there won't be 29 to start the season next year at Nebraska. There'll be a few fewer, but that's a lot. That's a lot.
Do you think it might affect the culture a little bit, and the fact that once spring ball comes, everyone in that DB room is looking around, being especially some of the guys in the back end are going to be we're not all going to be here, and they're looking left and right of them and saying, all right, I got to take your spot. I got to be your nightmare. I got to cut you out if I'm going to continue to be on this team. Do you think that? I don't know. Are you concerned maybe of the tension that could be caused there within? And it's not only just going to be the DB room. It might be every room is going to undergo that with the 105 rule.
I think some of that tension's good.
Yeah.
I've always believed in that. I've always been of the mind that tension can be a good thing.
Sure.
Right? Discomfort can make you better. I don't. If you have a lot of guys over there feeling comfortable, I don't think that's what you want. So, yeah. Am I worried about? No, I'm not. It's a reality based discussion, and part of the reason I'm not worried is because Rule is very blunt. He can be very blunt, and he's very real with the kids. He doesn't blow smoke to these players, which is good. It's a great trait that Rule has.
I agree.
He's very frank about their standing. He's not gonna, and generally, I think that's what players want anyway. So no, I'm not. To answer your question, I'm really not worried about that.
Okay.
Hey, the aggressive in the portal, also aggressive in recruiting. December is different now for high school recruiting, but the staff is out in recruiting. So a Mosey and a Williams is on the trail, along with guys that are on-field staff. There's a special teams opening. I know you've talked about Mike Eckler plenty on your show. When do the chairs stop moving on the staff for 2025? Is there only one open, or is there maybe a couple of openings on the staff?
I think, I mean, with Barthel out on the road and with Satterfield out on the road, I think that tells you there's one opening. That's now there's sometimes just sort of natural attrition. A job pops up and somebody leaves. That can happen. But I don't. My sense of it is that I don't think there's going to be much more change. I don't. You know, there's a special teams coordinator that has to be hired, and other than that, with the main, we'll call it the main group of assistants. I don't foresee anything right now. I could be wrong, and these things can get complicated if you just go back to the Bo Pelini era, for instance. He wouldn't announce what we'll call firing. He'd keep guys on until they found another job. Some of that can happen where you tell a guy, "Hey, I'm not gonna fire you, but you got to find another job. We'll keep you around." And it happened. I mean, it happened with Sean Watson.
True.
It happened with a few other guys where it never really got announced as a fire, and they're just sort of all of a sudden gone.
Yeah, Sip. So obviously, look, they're going to go out, they're going to hire a special teams coordinator, but I've always thought that special teams is indicative of the culture of a team. It starts at the top, obviously, with Matt Rule, and he's done a good job establishing a culture in his time here at Nebraska. But do you think that he's got to put more emphasis on the special teams himself, not necessarily just hiring a coordinator with a pedigree that can produce results, that he himself has to put in more time, more effort, and more exclamation on the special teams unit?
Well, those numbers would suggest yes. I mean, and I think that's the best way to answer it without trying to, answer it like an insider, No, the numbers were bad. And I'm not just talking about 10 block kicks. I'm talking about being ranked in the hundreds and in a lot of them in the hundreds nationally in the major statistical categories. I think all you have to really do is point at the numbers and then add to that it's not a personnel issue. I've talked to people that study it. They've watched every game. They've watched film of every game. I don't think Nebraska had a personnel issue. They play guys. They play good players on their special teams. They play starters on their special teams. And I just said earlier, I don't think Nebraska's that far away. And so it's not a personnel issue. I just have to think I think schematically there were some flaws. A lot of the issues though were if you just look at it, a lot of it was snapper and holder. And it wasn't protection, in a lot of cases, especially if you're talking about PAT and field goals. It wasn't a protection issue. It was snap hold. I don't believe it was a kicker issue. I think John Hold's fine. So that's the way I'd answer it. I think there probably needs to be more emphasis from the top, just based on what we saw.
All right. Tonight and tomorrow night, semifinals. The national championship game will be.
It's really hard to call right tonight. I mean, it seems like a pick'em game. I'd say Penn State, Ohio State, though. I think Penn State isn't interesting. I think Ohio State is playing so well, and it's just it's sort of simplistic what's going on. They have all that talent, and then a chip got put on their shoulder. And when there's a chip on the shoulder of a talented group of people, that gets scary. And Ohio State's pretty scary. I don't know why I'd pick Penn State tonight. I just think it's very evenly matched, and probably Penn State's better running game. They're healthy at running back, probably a little bit better quarterback, in my opinion. And if Abdul Carter plays, then I'd really like him. That's a game time decision, but he's a difference making defender, obviously. I just like Penn State by a very slight margin.
All right. Good stuff. Sip, as always, we appreciate the conversation. Have a wonderful end of the week and the weekend.
You guys are great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sip.
That's Steve Sipple, Omaha resident.
What?
All right, we'll pick tonight's game. Just keep it moving. We'll pick. No, he'd spend some time up here. He has his Omaha face on.
I had it queued up ready for you. Please, come on.
Were you comfortable with what he did to the Silver Bullet Band?
I don't really know the history. I just listen to the music and I love it. I'm being real with you. Now, Bob Seger and Bob Seger with the Silver Bullet Band are two different things. And let's be real here, okay? Love Bobby. He's way better with the Silver Bullet Band. I mean,
I can't believe he did that to him.
What did he do?
I just can't believe. I mean, that's just not cool. You got to be more professional than that.
I just like the music.
Last hour on Thursday, which will include some money-making ideas from Brian Edwards on 1620. No, on 1620 The Zone. Would you guys like to play a little game?
Heck yeah!
As long as you don't sing.
Well, the thing is, I think Jimmy is now playing music that he knows that I don't know in order to avoid me singing the music.
Has nothing to do. You're trying to get in my head. That's a bad place to be.
Head Games. That was a good song.
It was.
Do you know what debuted on this date? 18 years ago. It has changed our life.
Debuted 18 years ago.
18 years ago it debuted. It has changed our life.
Was
Tommy
it
Lee Goes to College?
The iPod?
Close. You are in the neighborhood.
The iPhone.
With the iPhone.
The iPhone.
Okay.
Today is the 18th birthday of the iPhone.
Wow.
Introduced on Apple's website, January 9th, 2007. It has forever changed mobile phones. I am Team Apple across the board.
Me too.
I think you should hop on Team Apple. I think you should drop Android. I think Android is really impacting the world. I think our world is a better place when Apple is involved and you have an iPhone. I can do more on my iPhone than your Android.
I got into this conversation with
Or your
my mother.
burner.
I told my mom, she goes, look, next phone, that's on you, And I go, okay. What are you going to say?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you still on their plan?
I'm going to
It's
be
okay to
off
admit
of it. I just moved out here.
Don't get off the insurance
Do
for
you
3 years.
Do you have a curfew?
No,
Okay.
but I pay. Hey, dude, I pay for everything else. I do
Checking
pay
to make
for.
sure you're in
I
bed.
do pay for everything. I paid for the bed. I paid for the couch. I paid for the
pay
table.
for your own car insurance?
No.
Yeah, that one. Hold on. to.
Okay. Continue
you can.
on.
Anyway, she goes, you're going to have to be responsible for the next phone.
Yeah.
I go, okay, well, then I'll probably end up getting like a Google Pixel or an Android or something like that.
Flip
They're
phone.
function. And she goes, oh, no. Then I'll give you some money. You have to do Apple. You have to buy Apple. You can't buy any other phone. She's
Way
like,
to finesse.
she told me, if you have a green bubble, I will not text you. So
Okay.
Mama McMaster and Gary Sharp on the same page, same exact page. My dad's just along for the ride. My dad was a big BlackBerry guy. My dad,
Wow.
not a joke, had the very last BlackBerry in US Bank in the country, not just in he worked in Milwaukee, not just at the US Bank of Milwaukee. He had the very last BlackBerry in all of US Bank, the final one. And they finally were like, Mike, you got to give it up. And he was like, nope, I like my BlackBerry. They go, Mike, you got to hand it over.
I had a BlackBerry. I wonder where it's at. I used to, until they started giving you money to turn your phone in, I used to save my old phones. So I want to read you something about, and I'm not here to promote the iPhone. You can have an iPhone or not. It is wild that 18 years ago when Steve Jobs unveiled it, how small the iPhone was compared to how large it is now.
I said this will never work.
Okay, so so on those lines, when they introduced the iPhone on this date back in 2007, full touchscreen interface, operating system, we went, whoa. Executives fought back against the iPhone because they said it's too expensive, fragile, and unsuitable for emerging markets. 18 years ago today.
No one's gonna buy it.
I still agree that it is a little bit fragile. You got it very rare, at least for me. I don't treat my phones any differently. I treat
Treat
them.
yourself an OtterBox.
I
Protect your phone.
Those
I
are
got
good.
I got a bad
Okay.
case. But anyway, I feel like it's kind of a spin of, it's like a roulette wheel, whether or not, I've had an iPhone that lasted 4.5 years. I had an iPhone that literally lasted 8 months. And I went to the
Man,
Apple
it's like a
store and I
goldfish.
go, hey, it broke. I go, was
Mhm.
there anything I could do? Is there anything that I was doing user error wise?
Yes.
And they looked at it and they go, no, it's not really beat up or anything like that. The brain of the phone gave out. Thank God I had Apple Care. So I just got another phone. It was all good. We were clear. But sometimes it just craps out on you.
I believe my first iPhone I dropped in the toilet. I was because I think that's really a sign if you've mastered things. If you as a guy or a gal can go to the bathroom while you're scrolling on the phone, but I messed up and I dropped it in the toilet, so I had to do the whole you put it in rice, all that kind of stuff. But I'm looking at this video of the debut. That iPhone was so small in 2007. I don't have a monster one, but
it was bulky.
it's a bulger in my pocket.
We still have
and not Mark.
in my house somewhere in a desk. in a desk.
St. Louis Rams fans are very excited right now.
And West Virginia fans.
We still have the original iPod. I didn't get an
Yeah.
iPhone until I was in 8th grade, but we had the iPods where you had to you could pay. You actually could download an app and pay a payphone on the iPod in order to call people. It was actually kind of cool. The battery was 45 minutes. You couldn't use certain apps because it would drain. Words with Friends would drain your battery. So you had to play the game plugged in, and then you had to every time you opened up an app, we learned that you had to close the app. You had to double tap the home button. Which, by the way, remember the home button?
Oh,
People forget about the home button, man.
Rest in peace, home button.
Yeah, the home button on some iPhones now is different. I'm a slider instead of a puncher.
No, it's
But-
just you just slide up, right?
I know, but some iPhones you can buy that have the home.
Oh,
where
really?
yeah. Those are the little
Nostalgia.
smaller ones.
Like a
Just
Dustbuster.
think about like whether it relates to sports or life in general, how dependent we are on smartphones now.
It's insane. Absolutely insane.
What does anybody know what the price was on the original iPhone?
I can look that up for you. I am a little
2007,
annoyed though that
simpler
they keep
times.
getting more and more expensive. It's a little like it doesn't take that much to like build it.
Yep.
Okay, it's very very cheap to build where they build them, and I get it. It's a business. It's America. It's capitalism. But at the same time, like $1,000 is a little much.
That might be a little steep. George doesn't like this conversation. He says we are only as dependent as we decide to be.
I don't necessarily disagree with him, but I'm a screenager and I'm probably on my
Nice.
phone a disgusting amount.
I like that. I've never heard that phrase before. You're a
Screenager.
I'm a
screenager?
screenager, yeah.
Eric would like to know,
We had
after I said that you're
Surge.
38 years old and you're still on mom's phone insurance plans, how's that going to work out?
I literally just moved out. Like, you got to give me a little bit of a grace
No,
period.
I'm telling you to stay on the
hash everything out.
insurance.
Well, the insurance, we have talked about that. I am going to stay on the insurance just because it's there.
Because
But
when you're off, you'll
with
notice.
the phone plan, like I am
Does
going
your mom
to,
have a tracker on your phone so she can see where you're at all times?
Find my
Yes.
location.
and that is kind of the reason why I want to get off the phone plan because
Matt,
I'm kind of
Where
sick
you
and
staying
tired.
tonight. That's
No,
not your place.
No, dude, no joke. I called her in the
Jacob we said
morning.
hi.
Like we talk in the morning. Like typically Sunday is the day that I like always consistently talk to my
Mhm.
parents.
That's good.
You know, just always had a day, always had
Yeah.
a time slot. And one time she said, "So you were at the bar pretty late last night."
Whoa.
And I go, "Whoa.
I was
I-
holding court.
Now I'm surprised that she agreed to let you take this job.
It's true.
Oh, she didn't have to agree. It was I mean,
Like when you move forward in life and you get married, will you have to get a house where you can also have like a mother-in-law house?
casita?
that's my thing.
Or be like, everybody loves
That
Raymond?
is a problem that I might run into because my abuela grew up 5 houses down from me. And I think that one and the 3 kids, I hope mom's not listening, but the 3 kids have talked about like, okay, who's
Morning,
gonna
Mom.
have to get the house close to mom because someone's gonna have to do it because she's gonna expect that. She's gonna expect to be
Yeah.
abuela. You
Jimmy,
know?
how what's the over under on how soon before Matt's mom moves to Omaha to look over him?
Just in time for CWS. Look forward to showing her on OBV.
No,
it's a
it's
fun
not like
time.
that.
Nice people.
She's a great. My mom, she's not that over. She's protective, but like she knows that I got a little birdie's got to leave the nest. I got to be my own man.
She'll
What do
enjoy the
you think the
organists.
original iPhone cost?
$755.
Jim?
$1, Bob.
Hey, do not be undercutting me.
Actually,
no,
12. What did you say?
I said $755.
I'm going to go with $1,200.
$499.
Damn it! I should have stuck
for
with
the
$1.
4 gigabyte. But
Huh.
if you wanted
Drew
double,
Carey's going to be kissing me.
Mm-hmm.
but if you wanted
It's like me.
double the storage, if you wanted the 8 gigabyte phone, $599.
A whole
Oh,
That-
gigabyte.
That's a steal. You got
Yeah.
$100 for a double the storage, easy.
and now as you upgrade your phone or get a new phone, and you get to experience what it's like to go to a local cellular service place,
Mhm.
which
Look at this. So I'm looking at at a picture right
They'll
now of a
upsell
dude
you
with
like
like
the
an
car wash
average
place.
size hand. So the thing fit in his first 4 fingers. So this is probably what the original iPhone was like, almost half the size.
it's too bad that we did not put the original iPhone in the hand of Andre the Giant.
Or Kawhi Leonard.
There are
Although
those.
he would have gotten hurt.
There are.
He
Still bitter.
drops his phone and pulls a muscle.
Yeah.
My favorite meme of 2024 was the NBA season began, and someone was Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George are all out right now in the NBA. It's in midseason form.
Quitter.
Last night, Baxter Arena, Omaha beat Kansas City. They're now 3-0 in the Summer League, first time since 1920. They won 5 in a row. They're back home for South Dakota State at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Somebody asked me this question because St. Thomas is 3-0 as well in the Summer League. Yes, I am sticking with my proclamation that in 10 years, St. Thomas will be in the Big East. They have
Why
a
is that? Why?
huge amount of money.
Yeah,
They play in a market that the Big East would love to have,
sure.
the Twin Cities market. They are a better basketball program than Minnesota. They actually
Sure.
have a higher net ranking.
Really?
And St. Thomas is not eligible for the NCAA tournament because they're still in the
Still?
transition. This is their
Wow.
last year from Division II to Division One,
That's impressive. That's impressive.
or
that they-
Division III to Division One.
That's crazy.
You said they got a nice
I'll
new
give
arena.
you.
Well, they have a new arena coming next
Okay.
year, but if you are playing in the Big East, you could play at the XL Energy because they're in St. Paul, so they're
Yeah.
not going to play at the Target Center. They would go and play where the Minnesota Wild play.
So, rage bait question. Over under
Who or what?
I know I was trying.
1.5 college basketball teams in Nebraska that make the NCAA tournament. Over under 1.5.
I'll go over.
I'll go over as well.
Okay. I'll say under. I think it's going to be really tough for Creighton to turn the I mean, Creighton's got to play their absolute best game every single night. Well, not every single night. There's still some bad teams in the Big East, but they have to play their absolute best game a lot this year against a lot of good Big East teams, and if they're going to make the tournament, which will be incredibly difficult. And you and I have talked about it before off air. The Summit League tournament, you want the highest seed possible to give yourself the best shot, the best
Crapshoot.
matchups.
It's just 3
It's a
wins.
crapshoot.
Mhm.
It's a total crapshoot.
Mhm.
But I think I'll say right now, I say under, but it's close. Like if someone says, "Oh, I wouldn't," I mean, all three have a shot. That's something, man.
All right, you like numbers here. Let's play another total game.
Cool.
This involves Nebraska football. So Eli Pritchett is in. We just
you
need to
said a
look-
lot.
we
You
just-
said a lot, and you didn't say a word.
We just need that technique and getting out of our stance. And maybe Jalen Milroe had happy feet, but
Oh.
he needs to play. I mean, he needs
to be
play.
better.
But they might get a guy from New Mexico State that I'm more excited about. But Marquise Groves Killebrew, who would be on his fourth
Yes.
school from Arizona, had actually a pretty good year at Arizona this past year.
MGK.
He is no. We only have one of those. But he may be committing out of the portal. Jonah Wilson, the wide receiver from Houston, who hasn't done much but was recruited by Holgerson. And we like big-bodied wide receivers, cannot lie. 6'3", 205.
Oof.
He could commit. So that would get you to 17. How many of the portal class?
I knew you were going to go there.
Because this you can either look at this as good or bad.
Yeah.
So you have 22 starters. And Nebraska's got their punter out of the portal.
Yeah. And the long snapper.
But is he really part of the
No. You're right. No one's counting the long snapper for returning starters.
over or under 9 portal additions start for Nebraska? I mean, before we get through the weekend, Nebraska could be maybe at 18 portal additions.
Let's say,
They're still kind of still working at it.
So I think you have 3 guarantees: Watson, Trent, Hunter, Key. 3 for sure there. Does Jalen George, the D lineman out of East Tennessee, does he crack the lineup? Does McCullough out of Oklahoma, does he crack one of those linebacker spots? That's a question. Winery is, what does he get in there? I'll say, and I mean, look, Davia, he's not starting. He's the quarterback. He's not going to be a starter. So that's immediately 1 out. Pritchett, at this point, I know it depends on whether or not they get the guy from New Mexico State. If he's a tackle too, I say under. I don't have the whole list of transfers in front of me right now, but off the top of my head, I can for sure give you 3. Oh, you know what? Andrew Marshall will start. So 4. 4 for sure.
I think there's a chance a couple defensive backs could be in the mix to start.
Yeah. Now I'll give you a different over-under.
I will go push, by the way, on 9. 9 of the 22 will be recent additions out of the portal.
So I'll give you another over-under here. So they're probably going to end up, rough guesstimate, maybe with 20, just a flat 20 transfer portal guys. Over under 3.5 who don't make the 105.
That are just here for spring trial?
They come in, they bring them in, they come in for spring, they play, and then they're like, you know what? We're good. Because it's one of
Under.
you're bringing in 20 a quarter under.
Under.
Okay.
Because they're giving some guys some money.
Yeah.
So I think they want them to make it through spring.
Do you think any of them potentially? I mean, is it unfair to say that there might be one or two that doesn't make the 105? 20 is a lot of guys to bring in.
I could see one or two post spring.
I mean, that's the
especially a defensive back.
That's the day and age we live in the portal, right? Like you kind of see it in the NFL where guys get signed and then they go through training camp and it's like, oh, okay, we got someone else and we rather have them on the roster. I mean, that's going to be the reality when college football each year in and year out turns more into the NFL.
Mike says this whole discussion is why I hate college football these days. I don't know who these guys are.
Yeah, but like, did you know who they were like back in 2005 when they brought in 28 dudes who were freshmen? Like, I mean, you probably knew, if you're a real big fan, you probably knew like the top 10, top 12, top 13.
That's why don't get emotionally attached to the person inside of the jersey. Get attached to the jersey.
Well, that's college football.
Thank you.
The NFL's different. There are people who are fans of teams because they really like the guy and he ended up being on that team. And then, I mean, even in basketball, there are guys who aren't fans of teams. There are LeBron James fans that they are fans of the Cavaliers. Then
Never
they were
heard of
Heat
them before.
fans. Then they were Lakers fans.
I like the Cavs because I liked Craig Elo.
Hey, this is where the NBA last night. Two best teams in the NBA played. Did you know that? Cleveland and Oklahoma City.
Donovan Mitchell went 3-16 and then Cleveland still won.
I lost money because
I'm pissed off though about this whole thing because Cleveland is, what are they now? 33-4, 32-4?
31-4.
They're 31-4. And if it was any other team or just if it was a top 10 marketed team,
if it was the Lakers,
if it was the Lakers, it'd be all we'd be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be ESPN would be 24/7, 31 LA Lakers. Oh my God, the Lakers are on pace.
It already is.
The Cavaliers are on pace to win 72 games.
I know, and very few people are talking
and
about
nobody's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It is so stupid.
Cleveland, Oklahoma City final in the NBA. It wouldn't be
Eat
great.
that,
It wouldn't be great for
Da-
the TV ratings, but in terms of the ball,
Be good basketball.
Oh my God,
that'd be good ball.
David Stern is going to be rolling in his grave
Trust
if
me,
it's
he's doing it
Cleveland
several
versus
times now.
Oklahoma. Adam Silver is the worst commissioner in all the sports. In the Big Four sports, he is the worst commissioner by far.
Thank you.
And no one wants to talk about it because he smiles and waves and he's nice to people. But in order sometimes to be a good commissioner, to be a good leader, you got to ruffle some feathers.
Adam Silver is the best thing that's happened to Gary Bettman and Rob Manfred.
Absolutely. People are figuring it out now. He is awful.
All right, John writes in because he continues his streak here, and you'll understand why, because now we're up to 9 days in 2025, and he's on 9 straight days. Just imagine being in Kansas City to watch Nebraska play Cincinnati to kick off the season and seeing Pritchett and Corcoran, two guys that apparently can't block anyone in the passing game, line up at the tackle spots. I would not want to be Raiola or any other Nebraska quarterback because they will all have to play, and they all are going to get hurt. So it's 9 straight days that John has emailed the show about Turner Corcoran.
It's almost a pseudo homecoming for him.
I mean, look, we were saying the same thing about Ben Hart and about how the guy, I don't have a good analogy. The guy, like Schaefer said the other day, he couldn't block a pipe with Barstool Eddie said he couldn't block a pipe with a cucumber. We were saying that about Bryce Ben Hart
and a tailpipe
for a whole season. And then what ended up happening? He ended up being a pretty good egg, and he's probably going to end up on an NFL roster, whether it be a draft pick or a signee, we'll see. But Donovan Raiola, like I said, guys, just trust Donnie. Just at the end of the day, trust Donnie.
You're about to touch the third rail with part of our audience. William writes in, about the Android camera.
Yeah.
I will say the Android camera is insane. Guy in front of me at the Husker basketball game had full zoom and it was like an HD.
That's cool.
Also, Blackberry movie is awesome. Check it out.
Blackberry movie. Have you seen the Steve Jobs movie?
Yeah.
The Founder? Or not? No, that's a McDonald's.
Yes.
That's McDonald's. What was this?
I've seen both of those, by the way.
Okay, I haven't. I have to. Those are three movies I have to see about companies that I intake a lot of. The Jordan movie, Air, the McDonald's movie, and I have to see Social Network. I know what happens in Social Network. I've seen clips of Social Network.
We're living it now.
But I have to see it.
Wait till you find out what Social Network becomes. This cool thing. I don't know if it'll take off or not because it's kind of a weird concept now.
I did belong to
Meta?
the Facebook.
Meta?
What is Meta?
Meta is like what Facebook is now.
No,
Ron
it's not.
Artest.
It's only Facebook.
Oh, it's just Facebook?
I don't call it Meta.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just
Fair.
Facebook. It'll always be Facebook.
Is Mark Zuckerberg cool now? Is he?
I
Did
don't know
he
if he
turn?
ever was.
Hey,
Did
he's
he
had-
turn it
hold
around?
on.
Ask the Winklevosses.
He's kind of had a rough week. I don't know that I would
What-
say.
what
Is he
did-
cool now? He had a little rough week.
Did he? I haven't been.
Yeah.
I'm
Not
sorry,
did he.
guys. I don't really pay.
Well, he's
attention
letting
to
his
that.
hair grow. I saw him in an interview
Yeah.
because there was a discussion about fact checking and other things this week, and so he was making the rounds of national interviews.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit different. He's letting
Yeah,
his
he's
hair
been
grow.
working out and he's been doing the BJJ and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh,
Jeez, guys, get your head out the gutter.
No, I'd never heard of B. You got a what?
BJJ. I didn't get nope. I didn't get a
some
BJJ.
juice afterwards.
BJJ is the name of the sport.
Brazilian Jitsu
No.
juice.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Is that like the
Come
rub
on,
and
don't
tug?
be that guy. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great sport, and MMA is on the rise.
Why do you have to have the first J?
Jew, Jiu, and then the second
Oh, not
J.
JEW.
No.
Well, how was I supposed to know the difference?
Charles Carmichael in the chat goes, "You paid twice for that action in Vegas."
Don't use the ATM. Trust me.
Ah.
30%.
No, BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a great sport. You should watch it.
Where do I find that?
It's called the UFC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
Oh.
one of the mixed martial arts.
I didn't know if I had to have a special channel.
No,
If I had because
Like-
in Nebraska that's blocked, I'm not going to be able to watch it.
No kidding.
like all those
Thanks,
guys.
Pillin. Going
Yeah.
private.
Hey, that's why I like going on the road. No,
On the road again. Just got done. on
Brian
the road
Edwards going to
again.
join us before the hour is over.
Colorado this
Bob
weekend,
is with
right?
me. Hey, Bob is with me about Jonah Wilson, the Houston wide receiver. So a little production last year, but he's got 3 years to go. Nebraska subtly may be building special teams through the portal.
See, Andrew Marshall, it was a great point that some of our guests have been bringing up that he's a kick return specialist. He's a punt return specialist. I like that. I like that play from you. It's a good call.
Your mom agree?
Let me see.
It's Mornings with Gary and Matt. Jimmy. Technically, it's not the name of the show. It's now called Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, let's play in a world here if this works out for the Bears, and it would be great because your football team has a great history of developing first-time NFL coaches, so it'd be right in the wheelhouse of hiring Matt Campbell, who is slated to interview. Mike Vrabel interviewed yesterday. He'd be a perfect fit for the Bears in the city, but that makes too much sense. So they're on to Matt Campbell, who
Whoa. They just interviewed him. Okay? They just interviewed him. They interviewed another
interviewed everybody.
That is true.
I even got an interview.
I remember when they hired Eberflus, they interviewed I think they interviewed a Notre Dame coach or someone like that, or they
Lou Holtz?
I don't know. They interviewed another off the wall
This time they will.
guy. They never
No, Matt Campbell is not off the wall guy.
well, college coach, that's off the wall.
Matt Campbell has been mentioned. He was mentioned for the Jets job before Robert Saleh.
No,
got
but
it.
I'm just saying in general, like it is a little
Dodged a bullet
different to
there.
go. And I'm not saying that the hit rate is low or high or whatever. I'm not saying that it's an automatic failure hiring a college coach into
Cowboys
the
once hired
NFL.
Jimmy Johnson.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying in general,
Right.
like it is a little different. It doesn't happen that often when a coach comes from college to the NFL, and at least not as often. I mean, Harbaugh last year from Michigan to the Chargers. Now, granted, that was a little different because he had NFL experience before that, but like that was the first time probably since Matt Rule that a guy had made the jump from college to the pros. Was there one in between Harbaugh and Rule?
When was Kingsbury in Arizona?
Kingsbury might have been at
Yeah.
the same time. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, by the way, looking like at your situation and the Raiders situation,
Yeah.
especially the Raiders situation. So the Raiders will be on to their 12th head coach or interim in 24 years. Mark Davis has no idea what their identity needs to be.
No.
But Jim Harbaugh had so much love for Al Davis, like he coveted the Raiders job. And,
I'm getting sick
and the
tired.
Raiders never hired him. Ends up with the Chargers. He's in the playoffs. Might win a playoff game.
There are like 4 teams who are convinced that Jim Harbaugh was in love with them and wanted to coach their football.
So the
team.
Bears and the Raiders would be the top two.
for Harbaugh.
For like personally, I love that. I love Al Davis.
Yeah.
I love the organization. Want to be there.
Oh, sure. He wanted the Minnesota job. When he interviewed for that Minnesota job before they won the national championship, he wanted that job. And he had legitimate interest in the Denver job, too. And I think they ended up going with Nat Hackett over Harbaugh. Or maybe that was when they got paid. I don't know. It might have been. I think they might have gone after Hackett over Harbaugh. Regardless, yeah. I mean, they're interviewing everybody. I'll get my official power ranking for who I want the Bears to hire.
A person with a pulse,
Yeah.
upright.
First
not
and foremost, Ben Johnson. Okay.
You're gonna hate it when he goes to Jacksonville.
So I just got that notification that he's got a lot of interest in Jacksonville. Jacksonville, really? Jacksonville, really?
That says a lot about your franchise.
It says so much about everybody's franchise.
I'd move to the Burbs, Arlington Heights. Open that site
yes,
back up.
yes, please. They just
Chicago
need to do
doesn't
it
need the
already.
Bears. Just call them the Illinois Bears.
Okay.
Campbell
Well, then
takes
they
over,
call
you're gonna
them.
change the
Then
team
call them
colors
the
to black.
Arlington. Call them the Arlington Cowboys. Call them the New Jersey Jets. Call them the New Jersey Giants. Stop it. Stop it. There are a lot of teams that don't play.
Yeah, the
City-
Jets should have never left
City of
Shea.
Chicago, I'd make them take the name away. Why? They're out in the Burbs.
City of Chicago.
All right, so
Because
Ben
it's so much
Johnson
better.
is one.
Ben Johnson's one. Vrabel obviously too, but he's going to be a Patriot, so that doesn't matter. My number 2 guy, and I know a lot of people might turn heads and be really, but Pete Carroll. I know he's old.
I don't think that's weird.
I know he's old. He's 72.
He's
but
younger
old.
than me.
And then the third one is Brian Flores. I know Flores had his struggles with Tua in Miami,
Many
but I
do.
think that
I
he's
think he also
definitely.
had maybe some struggles with the front office.
But he learned his lesson, and I think when he went up on that presser in front of everyone after
Yeah.
Tua had made the comments about how Brian would tell him how bad he was consistently and how Mike McDaniel was a breath of fresh air, how he handled that was probably the most important moment of
Yeah.
his career, and he handled it beautifully. And
Did
you
they
know
ever
what?
resolve that suit?
I don't know. It kind of got with a lot of things with the NFL and lawsuits. It got swept under the rug.
Did
and a
John
lot
Gruden's lawsuit
Nope,
ever
that's still going. So that's at a Nevada.
He'd be a
that's-
candidate.
That's in a Nevada Supreme Court right now. And right now they're trying to figure out if the NFL, because how those work is if it goes civil, Goodell can appoint someone to be the arbitrator of that deal and give him compensation or whatever, go to civil court. But Gruden is like, no. This is not a civil suit. Like this is a a legitimate like this should go on trial. And when it goes on
Real
trial,
suit, man.
NFL is trying to stop that, because if they go on trial, that means that all those emails that got leaked are going to go on discovery, and it's going to be HE double hockey sticks for the NFL if all those Washington Redskins, Dan Snyder organization emails go in public domain.
Well, they could pull Matt Campbell away from Iowa State. USC
Do you think
couldn't
that'd
do
be
it.
a good hire?
I like Matt Campbell.
I think he's better in college.
Yeah,
he's got a great deal at Iowa State. I mean,
I
the
don't know why
facilities
he'd
are really
leave.
good. The support, they've got something really good going. He's got a great athletic director he works for. He loves Ames.
He just won a
He
toaster.
can kind of just blend it in Ames. He is very loyal to Iowa State.
Is
Again,
it
he's
a-
had plenty of time. Had plenty of opportunities to go interview. One of his former assistants, who was a friend of mine, said that when the USC job was open, USC was trying to get a hold of Matt Campbell. And so guys at SC were asking guys on the staff at Iowa State, is Matt Campbell going to take this job? Because if he interviews, they're going to hire him.
Sure.
And my buddy went to Matt Campbell and he said, Coach, why not? And he goes, you know why? He goes, I'm not even going to take an interview. And he was like, whoa, he is committed to Iowa State. I don't know.
And now
In
look,
this
they have
situation,
wires there.
because is Matt Campbell early 40s?
Well, here's another thing too.
But he's been at Iowa State for a while now. That's what he got there in 2016. I don't know. If I was him, I would take the interview. I think everybody should interview.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't know that I would take. I think the Bears, with one winning season in 14 years, you are set up to fail with the current structure. From the McCaskies
there's been two.
to Kevin
There's been more
Warren
than
to
one.
Ryan Poles.
There's been more than one winning season in 14 years. 2010, 2018, and 2019. They had winning seasons. But you're right. One playoff victory in 14
Maybe that's
years.
what I meant.
One playoff victory. My bad. But I'll say this.
The Chiefs have more Super Bowl titles than the Bears have playoff victories in
wins.
14 years.
I mean, dude, it's incredible. Now, I'll say this. This isn't like a
Maybe more than
for the
14
love
years.
of Matt Nagy and Ryan Poles.
This isn't a contract thing with Campbell, though, because Campbell just signed an 8-year extension
Yeah,
like
you know
a
what?
couple of weeks ago.
You know what? Pull this leg and it plays jingle bells with anybody that signs an extension. It's a piece of paper.
No, but I'm saying that he's not doing this to get more money because he just signed his deal. I'm not saying that the contract has anything to do with it. Nothing is going to stop the Bears. Like nothing. The Bears want Campbell to be the head coach, and Campbell wants to be the head coach of the Bears. Nothing's stopping that from happening.
A new iPhone.
But I'm just saying, like, it's not like Campbell's doing this because he's got 2 years left on his deal and he wants an extension. He got it.
He's got a great gig at Iowa State.
Why? It's like
But
Fitzgerald at Northwestern.
take
They're
the
going to
interview.
build. They just keep winning 8-9 games a year. They'll build a statue. They'll never fire you. Plain and simple. Iowa State was a basketball school. Now people are like, Iowa State. And I'm not saying that
Whoa.
Iowa State's a football school, but I'm just saying that Iowa
You
State,
show
like,
some respect for Dan McCarney.
How about some respect for Johnny Orr?
people respect a
Tim
lot.
Floyd.
People respect Matt Campbell,
Larry Eustace,
Natty Light.
Tim Floyd.
Greg McDermott,
Yeah.
Fred Hoiberg,
Yeah. I have way too many.
Steve
connections.
Prohm.
Jeff
Now-
Hornacek.
No, they got coaches. Now, I will love you a long time. There is a coach in this run of Iowa State coaches that we're just rattling off that we have not mentioned, who is a very obscure basketball
know.
coach who
He won an Allen when I was in college.
but has completely fallen off the radar.
Wayne Morgan.
Bam. Nicely done.
Remember skipping that game in 05. Terrible hangover. Noon games didn't.
Yeah, they just honored former Iowa State head coach at their last home game against Baylor.
I don't know if they honored him, but
He
they
looked
brought-
really happy to be there.
well.
Hey.
So Larry Eustace his look has changed.
He's popular.
Now
in Lawrence.
Larry has battled some stuff.
Yeah.
I've never heard a coach, even Bob Huggins, be able to turn the F word into a noun, adjective, verb, and a run-on sentence like Larry Eustace. But his look is a little bit different. He is out of coaching, of course.
Sure.
He's been battling some things. But yeah, Iowa State brought him back last weekend.
Hey, good for him, man.
Those teams were
Good
fierce.
job, Jimmy. Wayne Morgan.
Oh, remember well.
So Wayne
He was the
Morgan got
interim and
fired
then-
before Matt got hired at Iowa State in 06. But Wayne Morgan was not very good at all. Like he was really, really bad. And Eustace had success. Like Larry Eustace in 2000 was the National Coach of the Year. And he got them
0-1.
on the-
Coach Murphy beat him.
on the cusp of that was the 1 seed or the 2 seed.
You look at Wayne
They got beat by
Morgan. I
Hampton.
mean, he got hired.
He was bad.
After Long Beach State, and when Long Beach State went 13-17, and then they hired him at Iowa State. How the heck do you fail upwards in that regard?
He just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
They also had some bad players. I mean, they went through a stretch, and even Mac had some talent, but it could never come together. I mean, they both. I think Wayne Morgan was above 500, but it wasn't until Fred came in, and then they've had a nice little run. Fred left the kitchen pretty full for Prohm.
Well,
But at the end, he was starting to struggle, and they were like, TJ, let's bring TJ back, because TJ was an assistant under Mac and Fred. And now, I mean, Iowa State won a national championship this year.
By the way, you saying that Fred left the kitchen full for Prohm is an understatement, okay? Hoiberg had
Prohm's first couple of years, it was
no, they were
thank God for Fred.
yeah. I mean,
they got the Sweet 16, and then I think
they got to the second round, and then I think they were like a 6 seed and lost in the first round in like 19 or something like that. And then a couple years later, he was out, and they brought TJ in. But Fred until TJ had
COVID year, they were 2-22, didn't win a game in the Big 12.
They so before TJ, Fred had the highest winning percentage ever in Iowa State basketball history.
22.
I mean, that's how good Fred was over there. When I'll tell you this right now, when the Bulls hired Fred, it was like, holy crud, man. What a pickup. What a hire. Like, I think people thought what Steve Kerr became in Golden State, I think people thought Fred was going to be that.
Yeah.
Like, that was the expectation. Like, hey, we're going to bring in this sexy spread, like almost like a football spread offense with basketball. We're going to have shooters. We're going to be athletic. And then, Jerry just wanted people to come to the game. So what does he do? He signs a 5-year-old Dwayne Wade and a 33-year-old Rajon Rondo, and Jimmy Butler is Jimmy likes to be somewhere for 4 years, and then he likes to leave. And unfortunately for Fred, he was coming to the end of that tenure, and they never gave. You want to say what you want about Fred.
Starts at the top.
They never gave Fred the runway. They never gave him the proper opportunity to be a head coach in the NBA. It doesn't get talked about enough, and it's a damn shame, because you know what? If Rajon Rondo doesn't break his thumb in the first round of the 18 playoffs against Boston, they probably win that series.
Yeah.
And Fred Hoiberg's career is probably vastly different.
Yeah.
Vastly different.
Brian Edwards, he'll join us next. Thoughts on the 2 semis and the Super Wild Card Weekend, which they retired.
They're calling it now. Then just
wild card. It's just we're regular now. It's just the regular thing. The NFL's always had 7 teams.
Regular was
11:30.
Maybe that's because the guy from Super Size Me passed away.
Yeah,
I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, you keep spitballing. That's what we do best on the show. BJJ Day.
Every day. Ends in Y, according to Matt.
A lot of spitting.
And his mom on 1620 The Zone. All right, it is football tonight, tomorrow night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, college football, the NFL. We are in heaven. We welcome in Brian Edwards, our friend from Vegas Insider, the senior handicapper who joins us now. Good morning,
Brian.
Good morning, fellas. How are we?
We're doing
Good.
great.
Hey, you have a little pep in your voice because your Gators stomped Tennessee the other night at the O-Dome.
Yes, they did. That was nice. Nice bounce back. That was a thriller at Rupp, too. We just couldn't get any stops. But, yeah, very nice win. I'm sure that one will probably age really well. But it's got to, unnerve Tennessee fans to see that, they still go through these awful droughts. Just the March, and Rick Barnes struggles in March.
So, all right, let's dive into let's talk about tonight's game and what you want to do with it between Notre Dame and Penn State. There's the interesting narrative changing with the team that wins. They both play really good defense. Notre Dame is more ball control. You got two interesting quarterbacks, two interesting head coaches. The line has been tight throughout. It's shifted back and forth here and there. But what's your opinion on Notre Dame in this game as a favorite, and also some of the other plays you might have?
Well, this one is going to be pretty simple. Not a strong opinion, but I'm going to go Notre Dame, 13-1 straight up, 12-2 against the spread. Defense, obviously, playing very well, and has overcome injuries all year and still playing at a high level. And look, I mean, Penn State's here, so you got to give them credit. But they have played two. I mean, I know SMU's the ACC now, but teams that have been G5 programs for a while. So it's been a fortunate path. And going against James Franklin in a big game, not a terrible idea. Not a strong opinion, but I'm on Notre Dame.
Now let's go to the other game, Ohio State and Texas. Ohio State's been a 5.5, 6.5 point favorite throughout the week. They're playing the best of the four that are left. They look like the team that we all thought they would be. And then there's Texas. You have Ewers. They got to find a run game, but it still is Texas. It's Sark. They're playing close to home. But the other part that I know you're looking at, I mentioned him, B, and I know you love this guy, and you will get this reference. Carmelo Anthony, as a freshman, went on a run for Syracuse, and they won a national title, and he went off to the NBA. You can't do that in college football. Jeremiah Smith has been unbelievable for Ohio State. And if he came out this year, we know where he'd be drafted. But he's got 2 more years to terrorize defensive backs in the Big Ten and the rest of the country. Walk us through how you're looking at Ohio State, Texas, and in particular, Jeremiah Smith and his prop that is up.
Indeed, and man, that Syracuse 03 team was very, very good to me. And little hat tip to Jerry McNamara, another freshman on that squad as well. But yeah, I'm going Jeremiah Smith over 84.5 receiving yards, or at least that's what the number was at FanDuel yesterday. I actually haven't looked this morning, but I mean, I would like it up probably to 94.5. But yeah, I was shocked it was not north of 90, if not north of 100.
Yeah.
So I mean, last 2 games, 13 catches, 290 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I don't know which one I like better, whether it's the Smith over 84.5 receiving yards prop or just the over for the game. But I like both of them. I'm also on over 53 back-to-back games. Ohio State's hit the over 59 and 62 combined. Since getting shut down by Michigan, 42 and 41 against just the Buckeyes themselves against Tennessee and Oregon respectively, and that was with a very conservative clock-eating plan in the second half against the Ducks. Will Howard played a lot better. And I like, Texas is very capable offensively as well. So over 53 for the game, and then Jeremiah Smith over 84.5 receiving yards.
Alrighty, Brian, we'll move to the NFL and the wild card weekend. Rest in peace, super wild card weekend. And we'll start off first game, Chargers at Houston playing the Texans. What's your outlook, my man?
Yeah, just for any listeners who might be tailing me here, I'm a lot stronger on my NFL than my college this week. And I really like the Chargers a lot. They've been great on the road all year long, 6-3 straight up, 7-2 ATS on the road. And they entered the postseason on a 3-game winning streak, but straight up in ATS since week 8, 8-3 straight up, 9-2. Against the spread. 2 of the losses, 1 possession games at home to Baltimore and at KC when the Chiefs had to get a walk-off or a
Yeah.
game-winning, a walk-off field goal.
Yeah.
And 5 of LA's 8 recent wins by double-digit margins, 7 by at least 7 points. And also, since Diggs has been out for Houston, Stroud a 9-9 TDI-INT ratio, whereas Herbert 23-3 TDI-INT ratio on the season. I like the Chargers -3.
Alrighty, let's talk about a team, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, the Baltimore Ravens. They've been, just around the playoff conversations for years now, but never able to break through, never able to get to a Super Bowl. It seems like this, like last year, the year before, could be the year. Lamar having an MVP caliber year. Derrick Henry is running the ball incredibly. What are you looking at for Baltimore this weekend, Brian?
Well, I'm not against anything Baltimore, whether it be first quarter, first half, the game, et cetera, or team totals over first half or game. I'm all for everything Baltimore this week. My favorite, though, is the team total over 26.5. Baltimore last 4 games has scored 35, 31, 34, and 35. In their last 15 games, they've scored at least 28 12 times and 30 or more 11 times. Pittsburgh's got a good defense, but they've kind of gassed out here down the stretch and haven't gotten a whole lot of help offensively. 3 of the last 4 games, Pittsburgh's given up 29, 34, and 27, and they gave up 34 in the loss at Baltimore. So team total over 26.5. I'm also going to play Baltimore -6 in the first half. And if the team total in the first half, if your number's 13.5, I definitely like that over. If it's 14.5, maybe pass. If it's 14, I would still like it and think push is probably a worst case scenario, in my mind at least. So there's where I'm at on Baltimore and got them in a money line parlay we can talk about in a minute.
Yep. We'll move from the Saturday, the first game's on Saturday, to the last game of the weekend as the surprise team of the NFL, the Washington Commanders. I mean, what a turnaround it's been. Jaden Daniels definitely, etched in for Offensive Rookie of the Year at this point. They're going to play the NFC South champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are you looking at for this one as the Commanders take on the Bucs?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to cashing that 8-1 ticket on Jaden Daniels,
Heck yeah,
Offensive Rookie of the Year. Washington has ripped off a 5-game winning streak since they had that 3-game losing streak where 2 of the games they led in the fourth quarter and the other one they missed the PAT to tie against Dallas with 21 seconds left. So during the 5-game surge, Jaden Daniels, 13 touchdown passes, 335 rushing yards. Now, they did lose 37-20 at Tampa in week 1. But a couple things that was a team that had been bad for many years. Rookie quarterback making his debut. He actually played good that game. Daniels had 88 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. And I thought it was a closer than the final score indicated game. I had Daniels rushing yards prop over 51.5 that game. So I was kind of tuned in regardless of the score. Washington missed a field goal in the first half that would have cut it to 6-3. They missed a field goal on the opening drive of the second half that would have made it 16-10. And they were knotted at first downs for the game at 22 apiece. So I thought it was closer than the score indicated. They got the revenge angle here. And I like the Commanders to win outright. But, give them to me +3 mostly. But I'm not. If you can get a +135, +140, maybe get a little bit of that as well.
Alrighty. You kind of teased it a little bit. Everybody loves a parlay. What's the parlay this weekend, Mr. Edwards? What are we stringing together for a big payout?
Yeah, let's go. Just money line parlay. All of them, just to win outright. Let's go with the Bills. Let's go with the Eagles, and let's go with the Ravens.
Okay.
Depending on what prices you're getting, should be a small plus around +105 to +110. I was just Eagles was my kind of slight concern, but with Jalen practicing yesterday, it seems that he's more than likely going to play, and with that, I'm in on that parlay.
Eagles, Ravens, Bills. I always love an animal-based parlay. I'm always a big fan when we can pair that up. That's a great one.
Hey, Jordan,
I hope it hit.
There's no question about Jordan Love for Sunday, right?
It seems like he's going to be good. Hopefully he'll be less than 100%. I'm still thinking about the Eagles, and maybe I will get a little bit buying at 4. I consider 4 a key number like 3, 7, 10. So, Yeah, I may buy it from 4.5 to 4. My lean is definitely Eagles, and obviously I'm there with the money line parlay as well.
Hey, it's not one of your plays, but a question. So the Monday night game, the Vikings coming off a dud at Detroit to end the regular season, and now they got to go on the road to L.A. to take on the Rams. Did that line surprise you at all that the Vikings are a 1.5 favorite?
I made them 2.5.
Okay.
Obviously, they've lost 30-20 out there already. And I'm pretty sure that was the game where Stafford got Nakua I know he had Nakua back, and I'm pretty sure it's when he got Cooper Kupp back as well.
That's where Donald got face smacked in the end zone.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I just don't really have a feel for that game at all. I kind of just feel like it's tossed up in a good line.
Yeah. Beat, we appreciate it. Enjoy the football beginning tonight and all the way through on Monday, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks. Y'all have a great weekend.
That's Brian Edwards. You can follow him on Twitter at Vegas B. Edwards. Penn State, Notre Dame, Jimmy. Who wins tonight? Straight up.
Oh, let's go. Rudy, Lou Holtz, Rick Meyer, Jerome Bettis, Notre Dame all the way. I can't believe I said that.
Overrated movie, by the way. Maybe because I know the backstory. There was too much Hollywood in Rudy, but that's for another segment.
Way too much. Yeah, I'm going to drive to Warhorse, and I'm going to take the Irish.
Look at you, fan.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I've learned my lesson. They're a pretty damn good football team in South Bend, Indiana.
I will go with Penn State.
Whoa!
I'm pro Big
Little
Ten
lunch,
national championship.
Little bet here. We making a little bet here. You want to dabble? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
I will. I would make a bet, but you haven't paid up your current bet.
That is true.
Shout out
once
Andrew
you pay
K.
up your current bet, we'll
do
get
it.
back into the betting business. No. What was that? That was awkward.
You've never
You've
never shook my hand. I've tried so many times to shake your hand. You've never done
Germs.
it.
You can't do that. Then we're gonna put shower curtains.
You
up
got a
here
little.
again.
You got a little
on the road again.
You got a little noodle fingers over there.
There
That's
I
why.
am.
No.
Up on the stage.
That's what I
We'll
get
come
for
back and
doing
do this
something
again
for him.
tomorrow. Enjoy the football tonight. We'll enjoy the crossover coming up next.